biggest crowd in Saskatchewan football history has packed Taylor Field for a Grey Cup dress rehearsal. This is the Cup, but who gets an invitation to the dance? The Stamps are on the guest list. The Riders, they're desperate for a date. Warren Jones is no wallflower, but he plays hard to get. Don Narcisse is a real catch. The Narco Strut, it's sweeping the nation. And when it comes to Western hospitality, Carol Ulmer treats you right. Stamps love to crash a party, but leave them alone and they'll crash the place. The sophomore, he doesn't need a chaperone. The life of the Calgary party has been the pits. That's when the sponge isn't showing off. Come on in. There's no dress code required. You're all invited. Welcome to sold-out Taylor Field. If this were a city, it would be the third largest in Saskatchewan today. Population, 54,000. Good afternoon and welcome to Regina. I'm Mark Lee and I'm way over here, way up here. It's a long walk, but it's the best seat in the house, surrounded by perhaps the most passionate football fans in the country. They have them right here in Saskatchewan, and they're here for a very big football game. Calgary versus Saskatchewan, first versus fifth. The Roughriders clinging to the fifth and final playoff spot in the Northern Division. Well, it's been a tremendous week here in Regina. Fans lined up for days to get tickets. They've come from all over the province for the final regular season game at home. Ticket sales doubling the capacity here at Taylor Field. This is going to be a beauty. Don Whitman and James Curry standing by to call this game in the safe confines of the broadcast booth. Gentlemen, a lot of fans here hope that this might be a preview of the Grey Cup, Calgary and Saskatchewan, but for that to be a remote possibility, Don, Saskatchewan needs to win.
Obviously, Mark, the Riders would like to be back here on November 19th, and they can keep those dreams alive with a win this afternoon. And James Rayoc feels the crowd will have a positive influence on his team.
They need a big push from the crowd this afternoon. They had a surprising 11-7 season last year, but this year has been a rebuilding year, a lot tougher than what they expected. But with 54,000, they expect a lot of enthusiasm rolling over into the players this afternoon.
Well, a win would go a long way towards helping the Riders gain a playoff spot. The Stampeders also feel that the crowd will help them. They have clinched first place in the North, and Matt Finlay says the objective of the Stampeders over the final 3 games is to get better every week. That's a scary thought.
That is a real frightening thought for the rest of the CFL.
Before a record crowd at Taylor Field this afternoon, it's the Riders and the Calgary Stampeders. Mark?
I'll have some peanuts right over here. Here's what's in store, Don, on the BF Goodrich TA halftime report. We'll show you how Regina is preparing to host its first Grey Cup. And we'll talk with slot back Gerald Wilcox, whose Blue Bombers are neck and neck with Saskatchewan for the final playoff spot in the North. Wow, we're living on borrowed weather here on the prairies. Wonderful conditions this late in the season. Temperature of 14 and hardly a hint of a breeze in the air. And we're set for the opening kickoff. Let's go up to Don and James.
Well, this is a preview of what we might expect on the 19th of November here at Taylor Field. And this afternoon, 2 players are looking to etch their names into the CFL record books. Pitts and Sapunjas have the opportunity to become the first 100 catch receivers on the same team in the same year, and there could be a third 100 catch receiver on this field at Taylor Field this afternoon. Donald Narcisse is just 3 shy of his first ever 100 reception season. The Saskatchewan Roughriders won the toss. They have deferred their choice to the second half. Dave Ridgway preparing to kick off for Saskatchewan to get this game underway before the record crowd. Pee Wee Smith takes the ball back at the 14-yard line. Smith finds a bit of a seam and then is cut off as he gets to the 33. Dave Van Bellingham was there to make the tackle. That was a return of 19 as Jeff Garcia hopes to keep his streak with the Calgary Stampeders intact as a starter. He has not lost, and look at those 2 numbers at the bottom of the page. 23 touchdown passes as opposed to just 5 interceptions.
Any quarterback would love to have that ratio, and Jeff Garcia has done an exceptional job since taking over the starting role here in Calgary.
He expects to see some of the same pressure from Saskatchewan this afternoon as he got on Thanksgiving Monday from the BC Lions, and there is early movement at the line of scrimmage. It appeared as though Bobby Jurison jumped prematurely.
Well, Rocco Romano is feeling the pressure because he jumped and drew Bobby Jurison offside, 59.
Procedure, Calgary number 59, still first down.
That's one of the problems that you have when you have a large crowd and you have those offensive tackles out wide. They have a difficult time in hearing the cadence of their quarterbacks.
Alan Pitts is not on the field for the Calgary Stampeders. Williams is lining up in his slot back position. Garcia's first pass over the middle to Sapunjas, and that's the 100th of his season, and he and Alan Pitts have now both caught 100 in this 1995 season, an 11-yard gain on the first play of the game for the Calgary Stampeders. Never before has this occurred, two players on the same team with 100 receptions in a season.
Well, this is one of the things that you get when you have a team that has secured first place. Alan Pitts not in the starting lineup. Tyrone Williams getting the opportunity, the rookie receiver out of Western. This is when you get an opportunity to rest your veteran players.
Pitts remains on the sidelines with Williams in there. And there's a penalty flag as it appeared the time clock had expired on Jeff Garcia, and he may be having some difficulty calling the signals because of the noisy crowd.
Time count violation, Calgary number 7, still first down.
Now, if you recall last week in BC Place when Alan Pitts was on the sideline during a stretch, he was having problems with his hamstrings and lower back. Trainer Pat Clayton was working with him during the game, and that might be some concern in holding him out of the starting lineup today.
Again, Garcia has to call for the ball because that clock was ticking down, and there was movement at the line of scrimmage again, but Jurison came across the line, but it looks as though it's procedure again against Calgary.
Rocco Romano once again.
Calgary number 59, still first down.
Now, Jeff Garcia has not played in front of a crowd this large in his entire career. His largest crowd ever was a 42,000 crowd at Fresno back in the Raisin Bowl in his sophomore year in college, and it's caused him problems early here in the first quarter.
First and 20. Garcia looks out into the flat for Sapunjas. He can't make the catch. Aaron Ruffin was over defending against him. Aaron Ruffin is one of two extra defensive backs dressed this afternoon for Saskatchewan, and I think you'll see 7 DBs on occasion. Rocco Romano, one of the veterans up front for the Calgary Stampeders. An offensive line that has done an excellent job of protecting the quarterback this year. Alan Pitts came into the game as a 100-catch receiver. He's been joined by David Sapunjas, who caught his 100th of the year on the first passing play by the Stampeders. 4 receivers lined up to the right. Garcia looking up the middle, can't find a receiver, takes off. Penalty flag is down as Garcia gets back close to the original line of scrimmage, and there's some pushing and shoving after the whistle. And more flags fly.
The original flag is going to come against Terrell Ulmer. A little extracurricular activity up in the head area of Garcia when he was on the ground. His center, Jamie Crysdale, came to his defense as any good offensive lineman should, and we had an array of flags at that point. You'll see right here at the end of the play, watch Ulmer as he gets up and shoves Garcia in the head. That's where the initial flag came, and Jamie Crysdale came in to protect his young quarterback.
A procedure call and then rough play both ways. Danielson was offside, it appeared, for the Calgary Stampeders. Wally Buono anticipated the Saskatchewan Roughriders to be ready and really come after his team in view of their desperation to catch a playoff berth, and also because of the large crowd that would be in attendance at Taylor Field. Referee Jake Ireland explaining to Bobby Jurison.
Let me help him sort this out. He's going to get 88 offsides. He's going to get number 2, objectionable conduct. He's going to get number 67, objectionable conduct. 10-yard loss. make that a 5-yard loss for Saskatchewan. Replay second down.
Fans in the stands are reminded if you drop...
John Hufnagel, the associate head coach, waiting for the Saskatchewan Roughriders to determine what their decision will be on these penalty calls.
One of the things that Coach Yock was hoping for with this large crowd this afternoon is the enthusiasm to roll off onto his players on the playing field and in their play on the field, and we've seen evidence of that here early in the game. Saskatchewan Roughriders are flying around defensively, hitting people, making plays, and Garcia has been rattled early here in the first quarter, and if they can roll that over to an offensive possession, they can march right down the field and score the first time they touch the football.
Procedure. Calgary number 86 is declined. Unnecessary roughness, Calgary. Unnecessary roughness, Saskatchewan. Third down.
I should have yelled down and told Jake what numbers they were, you know.
You could have helped him out. Almer and Ruffin are now back for this third down punt by Tony Martino.
This is a dangerous group. If you recall, Almer last year in Baltimore had the 70-yard punt return, gave Saskatchewan excellent field position for a touchdown.
He's been forced to punt this year, fewer than any other kicker in the CFL, and he gets away a beauty. Ruffin goes back to his own 19-yard line. And Ruffin brings it back to the 33, and that's where Saskatchewan will scrimmage 1st and 10. 12:35 remains in the quarter.
The CFL on CBC, brought to you by Ford of Canada, makers of the new 1996 Ford Taurus.
Imagine an automobile where every component is engineered to such precise tolerances, it feels as if it were formed from a single piece of steel. Introducing the all-new Mercury Sable. The 1996 Mercury Sable, now available in sedan or wagon for the same price. Imagine that.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury.
Even when the shoes don't fit, Howard Thornton still wears them. He's in your shoes, Tuesday at 6 on CBC NewsHour.
If you think a 400-kilometer pigeon race is tough on the birds, wait till you see the owners.
I'd give anything if one would fly in. Come on, my baby, where are you?
Meet the Birdmen of Saskatoon, Wednesday on the CBC NewsHour.
Welcome back to Taylor Field in Regina. I said off the top of the broadcast there was no dress code in effect. Maybe I misspoke myself. 2 games last night in the CFL. The Eskimos beating up on the Mad Dogs. Edmonton now 11-5 and strong in second place in the North. And a close one, Birmingham beating Shreveport by 1 in Louisiana. The Barracudas now tied with San Antonio for second place in the South. Don?
Yes, and it's Ron Lancaster's birthday today, and he will be celebrating in fine style following that win last night over Memphis. On the punt, there was a penalty, a holding call against Saskatchewan while the ball was in the air. So the Riders are penalized half the distance back to the goal line from the point where the ball was caught. And in the lineup of the Saskatchewan Roughriders today, returning after being out with an injury, is running back Darren Joseph, and he got the call from quarterback Warren Jones. Jones had his best outing as a Saskatchewan quarterback this season last week against Baltimore. He passed for close to 300 yards and had 3 touchdown throws. He would certainly like to duplicate that performance this afternoon against the Calgary Stampeders. Second down play, Joseph the ball carrier again. Joseph trying to get to the outside, and in the process of trying to put the move on Coleman, he may have lost about a yard. Had he gone straight ahead, he might have been able to pick up the first down.
Saskatchewan had that same problem plague them last week when they had a 1st and goal at the 4-yard line in Baltimore when they elected to throw the ball instead of going straight ahead on a dive. This time they try to run wide. Coleman comes up and makes an exceptional play on an open field tackle.
And some of the Saskatchewan fans and media were quite critical of Coach Ray Yauch for the decision he made to go for the field goal against Baltimore rather than try and put it in the end zone. Marvin Coleman is driven back to the 43, and again there are penalty flags. Emotions obviously running very high in the opening quarter of this football game. Provo was downfield to make the tackle for Saskatchewan.
The rookie defensive back out of St. Mary's University came down. He was clipped, but he was also under control and was able to make that open field tackle.
Illegal block. Calgary number 14. First down.
On Marvin Coleman, who is third in the CFL in punt returns, but an outstanding open field play. Saskatchewan is playing with a lot of intensity here in the first quarter. As you'll see, Provo right here breaks down, makes the tackle on Coleman.
Despite being hit in the back by Dondre Owens, Alan Pitts is into the ball game. He told our Mark Lee that he was simply not feeling very well prior to the football game. Told the coaching staff that and thought it would be better if Williams started the ball game. But Pitts is now in there. Tony Stewart, the ball carrier, picks up about a yard. This is the unit that Jeff Garcia is working against. Demetrius Edwards moves into the left end position, replacing Tim Edwards. They are not related. Ron Getz is playing despite a knee injury that has plagued him for the last few weeks, and Benson Donaldson has been a strong man on the corner for Saskatchewan. He and Randall do a good job on the corner for the Roughriders. Here's Garcia looking out into the flat, and Pee Wee Smith comes up with the football but is going to be short of a first down. Pee Wee Smith, James, was almost a forgotten man in the Calgary passing attack last week against BC.
Well, he really didn't have a big game, but Terry Vaughn, when you really can't isolate on one receiver, because this is a team that uses 6 wideouts in its passing formation, and Terry Vaughn had a record day. But Pee Wee Smith is ever so dangerous. If you take your mind off of him, he can burn you deep at any point in a game.
Martino's first punt traveled 47 yards. On the season, he has an average of 41.8. Ruffin and Elmer are back for this third down kick. It will be taken by Ruffin at the 24-yard line. Pretty good coverage by the Stampeders, and this is something they pride themselves in, their work on special teams, an 8-yard return.
Now get a 28-point winter inspection, oil, lube, and filter, tire rotation, and a 4-liter jug of washer fluid, all for just $24.99, only at Canadian Tire.
9:56 remaining in the opening quarter at Taylor Field. An all-time record crowd. A Grey Cup preview as far as the attendance is concerned. And Rider fans are hoping that this could also be a preview of what they might see on November the 19th. Into the flat for Boyko, and he will have a gain of about 5 yards. A very underrated individual in the Saskatchewan offensive scheme, according to Ray Yauch. Gene Mikowski with his second consecutive start at right guard, and Yauch feels that he is going to be a really good one. Darren Joseph returns to the running back spot, replacing Robert Mims. Pitts dons the toque over on the Calgary bench, and how much he plays remains to be seen. Pass is complete, and this will be a first down with Albert Turner. Turner was up beyond that forward marker, then got driven back and then driven hard out of bounds on the sidelines, right into one of the benches on the sidelines by Anthony McClanahan.
Well, that was a tremendous hit by Marvin Coleman when Turner made the reception. He drove him back about 6 yards with the shot coming right into your living room right here. Coleman comes up and just lowers the shoulder on Turner. But at the end of the play, McClanahan took a little extra and threw Turner into the benches on the sideline. It's going to cost Calgary.
Number 63, third down.
A penalty against Saskatchewan, against Hendrickson. And that obviously occurred prior to the pass being caught.
Well, McClanahan 5 yards out of bounds threw Turner into the bench, and you thought it might have been there because that's where the flag seemed to come out, but I guess Henderson did something extra, and he was the one caught.
So now Brent Matich is backed up to his own 9-yard line for this third down punt with 9:10 remaining in the opening quarter. Coleman takes it at his own 46-yard line. Again, penalty flags go down, and so does Coleman. Absolutely nowhere to go after that 40-yard punt by Brent Maddich.
Now, when you buy gas at Petro Canada, you can earn points. Petro points. It seems some folks are willing to go any length to get them. Buy gas, get points, get rewards, get Petro points. The points program for your car from Canada's gas station.
Wake up to sunshine, it's a brand new day. Wake up to breakfast, the A&W way.
Wake up to something tasty and new. A grade A egg, specially seasoned country-style sausage, all on a toasted bun. It's our tasty new sausage and egger, but it's only here for a limited time.
Wake up to sunshine, it's a brand new day. Wake up to breakfast, the A&W way.
A&W's new sausage and egger.
Okay, listen up. There's a new Sports Select game in town called Point Spread, and it works like this. Every game has a favorite and an underdog. Usually the favorite will eat the underdog's lunch. So Point Spread was invented. The favorite just can't win. He has to cover the spread. That evens things out. And the winnings make it worth your while. So bone up on new Point Spread from Sports Select. Oh, it's an easy way to get in the game.
Wally Buono has a very impressive record as head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, and against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, he has a very impressive record as well. He is 11-4 lifetime against Saskatchewan.
Well, even more to that, Don. Wally has finished 5 out of the 6 years that he's been coaching in Calgary in first place, and the 1 year he finished in second was in '91, and he went to the Grey Cup in that season, losing to Toronto.
First and 10 for Calgary from the 35-yard line. The hitch screen to Pee Wee Smith. He cuts back inside, looking for some blocking help, but Ron Getz came across to make the tackle, limiting the gain to about 6 yards.
When you look how balanced this receiving core is for Calgary, Pee Wee Smith averages 48 yards a game in receptions. Vaughn averages 55, Sapunja's 95, and Pitt's 99. It's well-rounded, so defenses really cannot get a key on who the ball is going to go to.
Second and 4 Calgary. This time Garcia moves in behind center Jamie Crysdale. 3 receivers to the left. The fake inside. And now Garcia goes down in the grasp of Bobby Jurison. Boy, this Saskatchewan defensive unit is pumped this afternoon before this record Taylor Field crowd.
Bobby Jurison has been picking up the tempo defensively. The last 2 games, he picked up a sack last week in Baltimore, another here at Taylor Field. This Calgary offensive line at this point last year had allowed only 17 quarterback sacks. That is their 24th of the year this season.
Lots of 8 on the exchange there, Jurison Garcia.
Tony Martino, I should say, seeing much more work in this opening quarter than he has been accustomed to most of the season. Takes the third down punt, gets away from the initial tackle, and then loses yards as he's taken down back at the 24-yard line. That was a 49-yard kick, a loss of 3 on the return. Bobby Jurison may be a little inspired to play well today as the result of a newspaper article today in Regina that suggested he may be on his last legs with the Roughriders.
Well, he's been a great player here in the 10 years he's been a part of the Riders, one of the great defensive leaders that Saskatchewan has had. And Bobby has had many fine seasons. He hasn't had the statistics this year, but football is not always based on statistics. He's a true leader on and off of the field.
Hitch screen to Donald Narcisse, and Narcisse breaks a couple of tackles and has a Saskatchewan first down, and that's his 98th reception of the year. Pope was there to make the tackle.
Marvin Pope still down on the play, and Marvin Pope, a very interesting story, having to make the conversion from linebacker to defensive end, but still having the ability to get outside and make the tackles on the wide receivers.
And for Donald Narcisse, his streak has extended to 142 consecutive games, catching at least one pass. He has had 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, and today is looking to have a 100 single-season reception year.
And with all the records that Donald Narcisse has accomplished here with the Riders, he's still in chase of a couple other Rider records. Joey Walters and Craig Ellis, the all-time single-season reception leaders for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And with Donald Narcisse staying healthy through the rest of the season, he will eclipse that number.
Pope got tangled up in traffic, it would appear, in making the tackle. He heads off to the Calgary bench, but the good news for the Stampeders is that he is able to get up and walk off on his own, and I'm sure we'll see Pope back in the ball game.
Well, it's going to be very difficult to keep Marvin out of the game. Calgary really understands what this game means to them because they haven't had an opportunity to get to the Grey Cup in the past 2 seasons, and they see this as a prelude to an opportunity for that, playing in front of this huge crowd at Taylor Field in Regina.
Pope must go out for at least 3 plays. 1st and 10 Saskatchewan. The Riders are at their own 35-yard line. Handoff inside to Joseph, and Joseph will pick up about 4. Ray York yesterday, James, in talking about Joseph, said that in Joseph, they feel they have more of a breakaway back than Robert Mims. He has the potential to go all the way.
Mims is the power runner who can get you those short yards up the middle, but Joseph can get you outside. He's a converted fullback moving into the tailback position, has chiseled his body down to about 208, coming in this season about 230 pounds, and it gave him that extra burst of speed.
Yeah, when he was playing fullback, he had bulked up by about 20 more pounds. Elgard over the middle, tipped away just at the last moment by Matt Finlay. You know, we talked about Matt Finlay on Thanksgiving Monday, how he doesn't get involved in making many tackles for the Stampeders. He primarily is directing their defense from his middle linebacking position, spreading things out laterally. But every once in a while, he makes that deep drop to make a huge play.
These are 2 veteran players that have faced each other on many occasions. That ball was slightly underthrown by Jones. It gave Finlay an opportunity to get back and catch up with Elgard because Elgard had gotten behind him.
A couple of weeks ago, Finlay had that game-saving interception against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 3rd down punt by Matic, taken by Pee Wee Smith at the 35-yard line. Smith finds a bit of a seam and gets back to the 50-yard line. So it will be great field position once again for the Calgary Stampeders after the 35-yard punt and 10-yard return by Pee Wee Smith.
This has been a great defensive battle here in the first quarter. Calgary has really struggled their last 3 games offensively in the first half, which is an added plus for Saskatchewan because the defense, as you can see Coach Yacht giving instructions to his offense, the defense has played exceptionally well. Last week, limiting Baltimore to no first half points other than a punt return.
3 receivers to the left, fake inside. Garcia doesn't get a chance to throw as Jurison makes the tackle. But the initial contact was made by Troy Alexander. Alexander got a hand on Garcia, and then Jurison came in to mop up.
Coach Yock is really excited about his rookie defensive tackle out of Eastern Washington University. Alexander has the speed they felt to put a lot of pressure up the middle on Garcia, and that's where BC had a lot of success in the first half last week, coming up the middle, flushing it to the outside. Jurison there for the cleanup.
Well, if Jurison is going to continue playing like this, Yock might suggest that a negative newspaper article appear every game day.
Well, I think after seeing that performance by Tim Cofield in the first half versus Edmonton last night, all defensive ends felt they had some extra work to do this afternoon.
Safety blitz, Garcia looking out into the flat, and Vaughn, who was the star of the game against the BC Lions, makes the catch for a Calgary first down, a pickup of 18 yards.
Talking with Coach Richie Hall, the defensive secondary coach for Saskatchewan, before the game, he said this had been a problem for Saskatchewan this year, is that they've let teams get out of critical situations. Calgary 2nd and 15, able to pick up 18 yards on 2nd down. They have to find someone who consistently make the big plays on defense. defense to stop teams from picking up first down.
On Monday, Vaughn had 6 catches for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns against BC. 4 receivers to the left. Garcia throws out into the flat, and Danielson will be close to another first down. And as a matter of fact, he will have it at the 35-yard line.
Danielson is rounded into a very good receiver. He has played exceptionally well this year, Don.
They have a depth of receiving talent on the Calgary roster. You talk about Danielson. He basically gets an opportunity to play when they go to their 5 or 6 receiver set, and they've got a player like Tyrone Williams sitting there.
Well, it showed how balanced this core is when you have Pitts, who doesn't have to start the game, and they don't miss a stride.
6 receivers in there now. Garcia throws over the middle, incomplete. Penalty flag in the play. It was intended for Vaughn, and Brady was defending against him. Brady and Ruffin are dressed as the 2 extra backs today, James, and the 7 DBs will be in there on occasion in what appears to be obvious passing situations for Saskatchewan.
Well, you have to have that. As you see the penalty right here of objectionable conduct on Pangelitis after the pass was thrown. But Saskatchewan has to bring in the extra defensive backs.
Ineligible receiver. Calgary number 2. Decline. 2nd down.
You have to bring in the extra defensive backs versus the 6-pack. That allows you to stay in your zone defensive coverage, because if you stay with the 6 defensive backs, you're forced to run man all game.
3:50 remaining in the opening quarter. It is 2nd and 10. Garcia found the hole up the middle, then got away, managed to dump it off, and Sapunjas makes the catch, but is limited to about a 2-yard gain. Boy, Garcia has been under a lot of pressure in almost every passing play.
But you have to become more and more impressed with Jeff Garcia every time you see him play. He's always able to adjust to whatever situation surrounds him. You see Rogers grabs him by the ankle, but the presence of mind to get the ball to Sapunjas, who still had an opportunity to run with it. He did not panic. And when you can have a young quarterback that plays that well, that's why he's been 7-0 as a starter for Calgary.
Mark McLaughlin just 16 points shy of a 6th 200-point season. He had 5 consecutive 200-point seasons or better. And he puts this one through as the Calgary Stampeders are first on the board with 3:15 remaining in the opening quarter.
Imagine hearing the call of the road, not the road itself. Imagine the world at your fingertips. Imagine an automobile so precisely engineered, it feels as if it were formed from a single piece of steel. Imagine a choice of sedan or wagon for the same price. Introducing the all-new 1996 Mercury Sable. Could you imagine anything better?
Imagine yourself in a Mercury.
Grey Cup Fever. It's here at Taylor Field and everywhere in Saskatchewan. CBC wants you to show us a sign of your Grey Cup spirit at home, at work, at school, in your community. Send us a photo or home video of your entry. Wednesdays on CBC NewsHour, we'll announce the prize winners, and have we got prizes worth tens of thousands of dollars. Grey Cup tickets and merchandise, rider game tickets, and more. Get your contest entries in now. Come on, Saskatchewan, show us your sign.
What on earth, fans? Here's what's ahead for you. An astonishing 74-year-old gymnast. We'll take a second look at the era of silent films and some pretty darn funny farm wife poetry next week.
The big news this weekend, the federal NDP chooses a new leader. I'm Sheila Coles, and I hope you'll join me Monday on the morning edition for all the details. We're 6 to 9 on Radio 540.
Taylor Field, and the Riders are counting on this friendly crowd to be the 13th man here this afternoon. They're in a dead heat with Winnipeg for the 5th and final playoff spot in the North. The Bombers playing the Argos later tonight. A Saskatchewan win and a Winnipeg loss today would give Saskatchewan the final playoff spot. Don?
Yes, any combination of 2. A Saskatchewan win or Winnipeg loss means the Riders would qualify as the 5th place team in the Northern Division and would go up against Baltimore in the first round of the playoffs. Farthing was on the receiving end of the throw, and he's brought down after a pickup of a couple of yards. There were 2 penalty flags in the play.
Probably going to get a face mask at the end of that tackle from the angles that the officials threw the flags.
Major foul. face mask. Calgary number 17. First down.
Marvin Coleman guilty of the face mask infraction, and that's a first down, Saskatchewan. Dan Farthing made some clutch catches for the Roughriders in their loss 29-27 to Baltimore last Saturday.
Well, last week also Bobby Gordon for the BC Lions had an exceptional game against Marvin Coleman with the 2 deep touchdown passes, and Jones felt that he possibly could pick on him this afternoon.
Jones looking over the middle. He's got Narcisse again, and Narcisse takes the ball to the 42 of the Stampeders. Greg Knox, the safety, made the tackle, but not before Donald Narcisse picked up 14 yards. And he now is just 1 catch shy of becoming a 100-catch receiver in this 95 season.
Well, one of the things that Saskatchewan has to do today consistently, as they did on that last play, is form the pocket around the quarterback Jones. Give him the time and the clear throwing lanes to look down the field, and he needs to concentrate more on the middle of the field in his passing game.
Boy, has Narcisse ever been a hot receiver in the last 8 games. 65 catches in the last 8 games, and now Narcisse on the sidelines has his 100th forced out of bounds by Al Jordan. So we have 3 100-catch receivers in the CFL this season. Donald Narcisse joining Alan Pitts and David Sapunjas.
We're two phases of history being set today here in Regina. The largest crowd to ever witness a football game at Taylor Field, and the first time in the history of the CFL that 3 receivers are on the same field at the same time with 100 receptions.
2nd and 5 for Saskatchewan. Well, Narcisse was the favorite target in Baltimore of Warren Jones, and he continues to go to number 80. Why not? Last week, 13 catches for Donald Narcisse against Baltimore.
Well, there had been a lot of talk that Jones was just isolating on Narcisse, but if no one can cover Donald Narcisse, why not throw to him? Game in, game out, he's always open. He is constantly working on defensive backs, getting that cushion that all quarterbacks love, and he gets the ball there in a hurry. Once again, a reception.
I think Alan Pitts paid Donald Narcisse the supreme compliment. He said when he first came into the league, he studied the moves of Donald Narcisse. Look at this move as Narcisse takes the ball down to the 15-yard line. And that will be close to another first down. But there is a procedure call against Saskatchewan.
Even with what Donald Narcisse does, I think you have to pay a compliment to the rest of the receiving corps for Saskatchewan.
Procedure. Saskatchewan number 81. Repeat first down.
Because without those other 3 and 4 receivers executing their pass routes, running them through, you will not find an open Donald Narcisse. And so that's what has made Donald Narcisse so successful, is that his teammates are doing their jobs completely.
Well, with Narcisse holding the hot hand in recent games, Ray Algard has almost become a forgotten man in the Saskatchewan passing attack, but he was guilty of the procedure call on the last play. Dan Farthing will be close to a first down. He was at the 15-yard line before he was driven back. Let's see where they spot him. That's a 13-yard pickup as they rule that he made the catch at about the 17.
Well, Dan Farthing had the big touchdown reception over Charles Anthony last week in Baltimore, and Dan Farthing has done a fine job since moving in. They started the season with Prince Wimbley, who they picked up in the dispersal draft from Las Vegas. He wasn't doing the job in the inside, and Coach Yock felt that he had Joey Yock and Dan Farthing, 2 capable Canadian receivers, and Farthing is filled in very well.
Farthing goes to the bench. Fournier comes in as an extra blocker up front as Joseph tries to get the first down on what should be the final play of the opening quarter. He doesn't have it. At least it doesn't appear initially as though he's got it. But that is also the final play of the opening quarter here at Taylor Field.
This is the integrated control panel.
It looks friendlier than a square, flat box. This is designed only for tourists.
This is a coffee cup holder and your armrest. There is nothing else like this in the industry.
Customers have told us they want the touch zones to feel friendly. The fabrics ought to be the best, ought to have a feeling of quality.
I really believe that this Taurus is setting a whole new pace for the Ford Motor Company.
Redesigned, re-engineered, reinvented, the 1996 Ford Taurus.
Joshua Williams, baseball player, swimmer,
and safety ambassador for the War Amps Champ program. Joshua knows what it means to play safe. During a boat ride, he got too close to the edge and fell overboard. The motor severed his leg. Now, he must wear an artificial one. Joshua has a warning for all children.
Don't let it happen to you. Play safe. Yes.
A message from the War Amps.
Everybody was famous, every actor, every industrialist, but a lot of pretty shady people as well traveled on this trade. Everyone wants to see something new and sort of be refreshed by a new experience. American Express has always had a great reputation in tourism. The American Express customer is our sort of customer.
American Express is welcomed on the Orient Express and for other moving experiences.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Ford of Canada, makers of the new 1996 Ford Taurus.
And a $500 Rider Store gift certificate.
Scott Hendrickson has been moved into the backfield in the fullback position for Saskatchewan on short yardage runs and trying to get that extra blocking in the backfield, but they came up short of the first down on this play, and they're going to have to gamble on 3rd and short. But that's a big body to move a defensive lineman out of the way.
Well, the Riders are going to go after it on 3rd and short. A lot of fans thought they should have done the same thing in Baltimore last week. Jones will keep, and he drives inside the 15-yard line.
Well, you were so right on that situation. They should have gone for it in Baltimore last week. When you're fighting for your playoff life, you have to take every opportunity when you're in the red zone to try to get into the end zone, and Saskatchewan didn't do that last weekend.
Warren Jones felt that when they were down at the 2-yard line, he might have been able to take it in himself. They have maybe not made this one because they spot the ball, and Ray Yawk is livid on the sidelines. It does not appear as though they got a great spot out of this one. It looked as though he was inside the 15-yard line, but he is not. They have been stopped on the 3rd down gamble. Initially, it appeared as though quarterback Warren Jones, in going over the top, had crossed the 15-yard line.
Well, it seemed like his entire upper torso had crossed the 15-yard line, but the spot of the official was short of the 15-yard line, and Saskatchewan will turn the ball over on downs.
Well, maybe they should have tried for a field goal.
We're only second-guessing up here.
Statistically, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have more net yards, but the Calgary Stampeders lead it by a score of 3-0. Garcia throwing deep down the sidelines, intended for Pee Wee Smith. He got tangled up with Brian Randall, and it will be 2nd and 10 Calgary.
Brian Randall has played very well out on the corner since his debut on the Labor Day game when he had the 98-yard interception return versus Winnipeg. He has solidified that corner, which was held by Albert Brown for many years. He became expendable when the young Randall had developed. Coach Richie Hall was excited to get him into the lineup. He says he's a very physical player, and you can see that time running Smith down the sideline.
2nd and 10 Calgary. Garcia operates from the shotgun, standing at his own 10-yard line. Here comes the safety blitz with Van Bellingham. The pass over to the other side of the field. Pee Wee Smith made the catch, but he was out of bounds. Last week, the BC Lions sent Tom Europe a couple of times on a safety blitz against the Stampeders, trying to rattle Jeff Garcia, no doubt. Dave Van Bellingham has come twice today on a safety blitz.
Well, Van Bellingham has had a career year this year. His first year as a starter for the Green Riders, that time coming from the deep free safety position, putting the pressure on the young Calgary quarterback.
So the Riders should get the ball back in excellent field position as Martino stands back at his own 1-yard line for this 3rd down punt. A high snap that he can't handle, and Martino is going to concede the safety touch. Martino had to go high for the snap and wisely gave up 2 rather than risk trying to kick it under pressure.
A very smart play by Martino as he had to track the ball down. It was a very high snap, but just to sit down in the end zone, because why give Saskatchewan an opportunity to possibly block it and get a touchdown? 2 points for the defense is much better than 7.
Don, here's an update from the Calgary sideline. Tony Martino sprained his right ankle during the pregame warm-up. That's his kicking foot. He says it's swollen like a balloon, and it was no wonder he had trouble going high to catch that snap because he has very little mobility in his right foot. We'll see how that affects him throughout the rest of the game.
Well, 2 seasons ago, he had a quite similar situation. Down in Sacramento, we did a game where Mark McLaughlin was forced into a punting situation, and they would line up for field goals, and he would kick it out of bounds, getting field position. Jamie Crysdale had a great game last week, and he's the long snapper also. If you recall on one touchdown run by Jeff Garcia, where he laid a crushing block on Tyrone Chapman to allow his quarterback a lane into the end zone for the touchdown.
And prior to the game, Martino was telling me that he rarely gets a bad snap from Jamie Crysdale, but that one was a little high that he was forced to pull down.
Come on, underneath!
Aaron Ruffin, following the safety touch, takes the ball back at the 20-yard line. He finds a hole. Excellent return to the 47. A 27-yard run back with Al Jordan coming over to make the stop.
And there's no flags down on the field.
One of the few occasions in a kicking situation where we have not had a flag this afternoon.
But excellent field position for Saskatchewan out across the 45-yard line. Now, this is where Warren Jones needs to be more composed in taking his team down the field. As you saw right there, as Ruffin lost his footing, but Jones needs to take his time and not try to press and take everything underneath right here.
First and 10 for the Riders. Handoff inside to Joseph. Joseph slipped as he tried to cut back in. He had a huge game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the first of the back-to-back games on the Labor Day weekend here at Taylor Field. And then he was hurt in the rematch at Winnipeg Stadium. He ran for 110 yards against Winnipeg before being hurt on September the 10th. He'd only carried 3 times and was a -2 at that time. Jones with good protection. Narcisse can't make the catch. Jackie Kellogg was defending against Donald Narcisse. He went high but could not pull it in. Now this is a change that Calgary has made. Kellogg is a starter replacing Dondre Owens at the inside halfback spot.
Well, they've been so impressed with Jackie Kellogg since coming in 3 weeks ago that Dondre Owens was moved back into a backup role. Kellogg, the rookie out of Eastern Washington, had spent time with the San Francisco 49ers, but he's a big, rangy halfback, just like Vaughn on the other side, and very physical.
Just one man back. The Stampeders may be going after a block. No, they're going to try and set up a return. And Coleman is going to be caught on the short side of the field. Nowhere to go. A 49-yard kick, 3 yards on the run back.
It's the most energy-efficient home on the block.
900 dealer buying power.
Means saving energy and saving money.
Save on this 0.9 cubic foot GE microwave oven.
We buy big.
You save big.
With one-touch controls, only $179.97.
Now that's buying power. Plus lots of friendly advice. 100% Canadian owned. Insulating you from low temperatures and high prices.
Great price, friendly advice at Home Hardware.
His parents have HIV. Now it's Robert's turn to be tested.
I just don't know if the child is infected.
And if he has it, then we'll love him anyway and be beside him until the time comes that he has to leave.
Waiting for Robert, Monday on the CBC News Hour.
This year is too exciting to not want to be involved somehow.
Grey Cup Odyssey, Monday at 7.
Grey Cup is coming. What are you going to do? It starts with a heartbeat. Grey Cup 95 kicks off on November 15th with the Heartbeat World Rhythm. The color, excitement, and pageantry of our Olympic-style opening ceremonies will take your breath away.
Whatever it takes, be there. 3-2, Calgary leads. The Stampeders on their first 3 possessions of this football game were forced to punt. On their 4th possession, they scored a field goal, and the 5th time they had the football, they were forced to concede a safety touch. Jeff Garcia had problems on Thanksgiving Monday in the first half against BC, problems he rectified in the second half. He's completed 6 passes so far in the first half today, James.
He had only picked up 5 in the first half versus BC on Thanksgiving Day. BC had an excellent game plan to defend Calgary's offense, and they gave Garcia a lot of trouble. They blitzed on a regular basis, didn't allow him the opportunity to sit in the pocket and become comfortable.
And Saskatchewan today may be benefiting from viewing that BC-Calgary game, because they have played strong defensively as they stopped Tony Stewart right at the line of scrimmage. Calgary 2 for 6 in second down conversions this afternoon. Garcia steps up, throws, and Sapunjas makes the catch, but is about 4 yards shy of a first down.
Well, you have to look at how well Saskatchewan has played defensively here in the first half. Last week they held Mike Pringle to only 18 yards rushing in the first half, and Calgary has not been able to establish a running game, but the halfbacks, Ulmer and Ruffin and Van Bellingham at free safety have played exceptionally well in the middle of the field and shut down the Calgary slots.
Well, Tony Martino, who is obviously in pain, will be kicking with a badly swollen ankle, as Mark pointed out, an injury that was suffered during pregame warm-up. And each time he makes contact with the football, I'm sure it must really hurt. Ulmer fields the ball, but he had at least 3 players trapped inside that 5-yard area. Only a 25-yard punt that time by Tony Martino. I'm wondering if Wally Buono might be thinking about putting Mark McLaughlin into the ballgame.
No yards. Calgary number 51. 5-yard penalty on the bounce. First down.
Well, that foot is not going to get any better as the game goes on, and that's a decision that the coach is going to have to make. He's going to have to continuously talk to his kicker and see how he's faring as the game progresses on.
First and 10, Saskatchewan from the 40-yard line. The Roughriders trailing by a single point. Hitch screen to Albert Turner. Big hit, but not before he picked up a first down. Greg Knox, the safety, came up just when Albert Turner thought he might have a little more room.
Well, this is one of the favorite plays in Saskatchewan's running attack, passing attack, the hit screen, which is almost like a running play because you get so many offensive linemen out in front. But Greg Knox sneaks underneath Dan Payne and just levels Albert Turner. Great hit by the free safety from Calgary.
First and 10, Saskatchewan. They are at the Calgary 28-yard line. Handoff inside to Joseph, and he'll get about 1, maybe 2 yards. One of the all-time great offensive linemen for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Roger Aldag, a spectator today among this crowd of 54,000. You played with Roger, James, for a couple of years.
I had 2 stints with Roger here in '80 when I came to Saskatchewan the first time, and then '87 through '89, a member of that Grey Cup team, Mr. Rough Rider himself.
Dan Farthing lines up wide to the left on 2nd and 8. Jones in some difficulty. Penalty flag in the play as Boyko was knocked down by McClanahan along the sidelines. And I think Jones was anticipating that Boyko would be able to streak down the sidelines, and he was throwing the ball to a spot.
Well, Boyko is a very valuable element in the Saskatchewan offense. He's really that player that goes unnoticed.
Forward pass interference. Calgary number 41. First down.
Because most of his plays you won't find on a highlight reel, but he's so steady with the things that he does. His blocking, which is a key for the running game, and his pass receptions out of the backfield coming into this game, he had 21.
The 9th penalty called against Calgary this afternoon. They have been penalized 65 yards. It's first and 10, Saskatchewan. Donald Narcisse makes the catch. Boyko was out there attempting to throw a block, but Alondra Johnson came over to make the tackle.
One of the things that puts limitations in Warren Jones's game is that he takes so many snaps from the shotgun. And when you're taking all of these snaps from the shotguns, you really don't have an opportunity to develop a running game. And Joseph in the backfield really becomes a non-entity. So he needs to move up underneath the center more often to keep Calgary honest defensively.
Jones has completed 10 of 12 attempts for 86 yards. He had a streak of a dozen completions in a row against Baltimore last week. With time into the end zone, touchdown, Donald Narcisse. The sixth catch of the day for Donald Narcisse, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders have the lead as the result of his touchdown.
Well, Donald Narcisse running a deep crossing route. The time that Warren Jones has in the pocket. Last week, Calgary did not have a quarterback sack for the first time this season, and Saskatchewan's offensive line is doing all that they can to buy their quarterback the time to find his open receivers down the field.
Well, the big news out of the NHL, McDonald's NHL Muppet Mania has arrived.
Play NHL Muppet Mania at McDonald's. Collect NHL Muppet Color Team Crest on specially marked packaging, and you could win great prizes, like one of 50 all-new 1996 Ford Taurus or Mercury Sable vehicles, Bauer inline skates, Nestle Crunch Bars, or $100,000 cash instantly.
So, Kermit, what's the toughest thing about playing hockey in the NHL?
Skating with flippers. Play NHL Muppet Mania at McDonald's today.
She's of average height and average weight. Yet, there's absolutely nothing average about her. She's what happens when a company believes safety isn't one thing, it's everything. And she is the first and only crash test dummy with that special glow. The company is General Motors.
Tirecraft introduces the new Michelin Energy Tire. The biggest revolution since Michelin invented the radial. The new radial XSE technology sets a whole new standard. In the rain, in the snow, it even saves gas. Introducing the new Energy Tire from Michelin. It's science that goes beyond magic. Hurry into your local Tirecraft store for the revolutionary Michelin Energy Tire before they disappear.
Only 4 players in the CFL have ever caught more passes than Donald Narcisse in his career, and Narcisse, with his 103rd catch this season, has established a Saskatchewan club record. He came into the game with 97 receptions, and in a busy first half, he's already caught 6.
Well, the Donald Narcisse you can count on in and game out. He set an all-time record for consecutive games, and now he's made the Saskatchewan record book once again.
Coleman on the return, and David Pitcher is there to ride him down after a run back of 25 yards.
The amazing fact is that Donald Narcisse can consistently get so wide open that defensive backs lose track of him. You recall last week in Baltimore when he got loose in the back of the end zone when his quarterback started to scramble. That time on a crossing route, there was not a defender within 7 yards of Narcisse.
142 consecutive games catching passes. I asked him yesterday, do you remember the first? He says, oh yes, Jeff Garcia threw it to me. Pee-wee Smith takes the hitch screen, and as he cuts back inside, he is leveled at the 50-yard line with a gain of 5.
You know, you talk about Jeff Bentrim. When Jeff Bentrim came to Saskatchewan in '87, he started his career here as a quarterback. When he retired in 1990, he ended up as a slot back playing the right beside Donald Narcisse.
Garcia has completed 8 passes for 12 yards. In making the tackle, 2 Saskatchewan players, Alexander and Brady, collided and were injured.
Well, Brady caught a knee in the head from Alexander. It probably hyperextended Alexander's hip flexor as they made that collision. But Brady, they were very excited about getting him into the lineup. You'll see right here as the knee of Alexander goes into the head of Brady, and that's a very frightening sight when you see something like that occur.
Ray York was talking about Alexander yesterday, and as you said earlier, he feels he's going to be an outstanding football player for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in future years.
Well, that's one of the problems that Saskatchewan had had. They had had Gary Lewis anchoring that defensive line for many years, and Alexander, now they feel in another year or two, he'll be that consistent defensive lineman that they've been looking for. He's a young Canadian player with a lot of potential and a lot of speed, and they're happy to have him in the lineup.
And one thing it does, it allows them to put an extra import defensive back into the secondary because Alexander goes to the D-line.
Well, along with Alexander and Kokla up front, you have a very formidable front, and Kokla has a lot of power in there for run stopping.
7:26 remaining in the first half. The fans at Taylor Field thoroughly enjoying what they have witnessed thus far. Garcia's pass knocked down by Elmer. It was intended for Calgary's number 2, Terry Vaughn.
Terrell Almer has had an exceptional year at the halfback position. He has only allowed 2 touchdown receptions all season long. When you look at Saskatchewan and you look at their record, it's very hard to understand how well this defense is played, but there's been 8 games that Saskatchewan had an opportunity to win going into the last 5 minutes of the football games this season.
Saskatchewan with a home-and-home affair against Calgary and a final game against BC to wind up the season. Winnipeg with 2 games remaining tonight against Toronto, and they wind up their year on the final weekend against Ottawa. This is a better punt by Martino. Randall takes it at the 15-yard line. Good downfield coverage again by the Stamps on the special team, and they limit the return to 7 yards with Raymond Biggs there to make the tackle.
Winter's here, and it's time to ask yourself, does your battery have the juice to get you started when you really need it? Do your tires have the traction you need for slippery situations? Only Canadian Tire offers MotoMaster batteries and tires to get you going in any situation, all at the everyday low prices you'd expect from Canada's automotive store. Canadian Tire, there's a lot more for your car for a lot less.
Bruce and Susan just flew here free, thanks to the Royal Trust Canadian Plus Visa card. You could fly free too, with the only credit card that automatically gives you Canadian Plus points with every purchase you charge. To fly free faster, contact Royal Bank or Royal Trust or call 1-800-434-PLUS and get the card that gives you wings.
We gave Dodge Ram the most powerful overall line of truck engines on the planet. A driver's side airbag, the option of 4-wheel anti-lock brakes, a cab design that sets a new standard for comfort and room. Then, after we made the Dodge Ram that good, we made it this bad. Introducing new Ram Sport from Dodge, Canada's truck stop.
This capacity crowd at Taylor Field, 54,000 plus, having a blast this afternoon as the Riders entertain the Calgary Stampeders. A full house, one of the ingredients on November the 19th. Hopefully, the weather will be close to what we're experiencing today, and for Saskatchewan fans, nothing would be finer than to see the green and white performing at home against champions from the North Division. Joseph, the ball carrier, and he will pick up just a couple of yards.
Well, I don't think the Calgary is a defense that you're going to really establish a running game on. They have such great team pursuit on that side of the football. As we saw last week, they had 6 and 7 players around the ball every time a tackle was made. So Saskatchewan needs to keep the ball spread around the field.
Rayak was saying that the game plan coming in was to try and run, but Calgary has some other ideas. They've been a very tough team to run against this year. Here's the safety blitz, picked up by the Riders. The pass is intercepted by Jordan. The safety blitz was on. The Riders picked it up, but Warren Jones, in trying to hit his receiver, had it picked off by Jordan.
Going to the well once too often, and that's one of the problems when you're sitting in the shotgun all the time. It becomes very difficult to recognize the blitz, and if you're under center, it gives you an opportunity to throw the hot routes, and that's what Jones hasn't been doing, is throwing the hot, so he needs to go back under center, so when the blitz is coming, he can get rid of the ball much quicker.
There are some critics who say that Jones has number 80 in his sights too often.
Well, that time he did.
Garcia over the middle is intercepted by Van Bellingham. He's the interception leader for Saskatchewan, and he gets the ball right back for the green and white.
When you talk about going to a favorite receiver too often, Allen Pitts. The same with Jeff Garcia, but Van Bellingham with his 7th interception on the season, just having an outstanding year. He only had 8 career INTs coming into this season, and that's his 7th.
Well, Jeff Garcia experienced something a little different last Monday against the BC Lions. He was under all sorts of pressure, all sorts of different alignments defensively. In the first half, he's getting much the same from Saskatchewan today. Jones comes right back with the completion to Dan Farthing. And a Saskatchewan first down on the 15-yard gain.
I want to touch back on that point you were speaking about, Garcia. BC held him in the Calgary offense to only 80 yards of total offense last week in the first half. And that's what Saskatchewan has done. They've studied those game films. They've come out with the same type of philosophy, and they've been able to execute it in the first 25 minutes thus far in the first half.
4:49 remaining with Saskatchewan leading. Turner with the hitch screen, and he will be close to another Roughrider first down.
Now, this is one of the players that Warren Jones need to go to more consistently. He has that game-breaking speed. We did his first game here against the BC Lions last season when he went out and caught the 2 touchdown passes. He is that deep threat that Saskatchewan needs in their offense.
Gain of 12 with Albert Turner on the receiving end. And 2 passes following the Van Bellingham interception have moved the Riders up to their own 42-yard line, 1st and 10. Jones over the middle, and Dan Farthing is there again. A 16-yard gain on the pass completion to Farthing.
I really like the way that Dan Farthing has developed his game. He knows that he's not going to beat you deep. He plays within his ability. He goes down and he finds the open spot in the zone coverage and gives his quarterback an easy target.
4 receptions for 47 yards for the University of Saskatchewan product.
Homegrown.
Quite delighted last week, scoring a touchdown in Baltimore. Joseph is forced to cut back inside. The Riders were hoping to try and establish a ground game against Calgary, but as you said, James, Calgary is a very difficult team to run against. This year, they've only given up 3 rushing touchdowns.
Well, they came with the count and Trey pulling Dan Payne from the backside, but Darren Joseph has not been in the lineup for the past couple of games, so the timing is off with his offensive lineman, so Calgary is the wrong team trying to get your running back in the mix against.
2nd and 5, Saskatchewan. They've been good on 4 of 11 second down conversions. Don Narcisse will convert another. He gets inside the 30-yard line. A pickup of 17 with 2:45 remaining in the first half.
Now you can be wired to a world you never imagined. Welcome to the internet.
It's where merchants are wired to a worldwide
web.
There are only 200 minted, but I'll check the net.
Where shoppers browse electronic malls looking for sidewalk cyber bargains. You've got the modem. We've got the means. Where things are bought and sold at the touch of a finger and...
You're in luck. There's one in London.
The blink of an eye.
Join the revolution.
After all, it's your world.
Get wired. Get internet.
CBC NewsHour. CBC News Hour with Polly Preston and Costameritas. Make it your news.
The North American Indigenous Games have become a vehicle of hope for many Aboriginal youth.
If we don't prioritize our young people, then our future is in jeopardy.
On the Right Track, Tuesday at 6 on the CBC News Hour.
We're celebrating Saskatchewan Library Week with our My Favorite Book contest. I'll read winning entries on the afternoon edition beginning Monday, October 16th. All our winners will receive a book prize courtesy of the Saskatchewan Library Association.
When Al Jordan intercepted, things looked bleak for Saskatchewan. Dave Van Bellingham came back with an interception, and now Saskatchewan is on the move.
Being able to convert the second down situations once again this week. Last week in Baltimore, they had 7 consecutive that they converted, and they've been able to keep that on a roll this afternoon at Taylor Field.
And one of the keys, James, has been the hot hand of Warren Jones. He's completed 15 of 18 so far for 163 yards. He's got another completion. And Turner has another Saskatchewan first down.
And spoke earlier about that Jones needed to throw more to the middle of the field, and that's one of the things that he's been doing to Farthing and Turner. He's come away from the wideouts on a regular basis. As you see him throwing down the hash, where Turner is able to come inside because the halfbacks have been run off, and you only have Knox in the middle of the field.
First and 10 Saskatchewan. The Riders operating from the Calgary 13. Calgary showing blitz. There's the pass out into the flat intended for Turner, incomplete.
Heading for Albert Turner. Once again, Calgary coming with the safety blitz when you get down tight. And Jones in the shotgun again. He cannot pull the trigger quick enough because the safety is on top of him as he's getting the ball back from the long snapper, Mike Anderson.
Frank Spaziani, the man in charge of the Calgary secondary, sending in a signal. One thing Calgary does that most teams don't. Down in this area, they will continue to play zone in their secondary.
Well, they do that because they figure that they have a wider range in covering the receivers because it takes a longer time for Saskatchewan's routes to develop.
Narcisse in the end zone, can't hang on. Al Jordan was over defending against Narcisse. He put a good move on Jordan, but Jordan wasn't buying the fake.
Jordan had the inside position, and he forced Narcisse into the sideline, but this is what gave Saskatchewan problems last week. Not being able to capitalize when they were down in the red zone. And when you play a team like the Calgary Stampeders, you cannot allow any opportunity to score a touchdown elude you, because all of a sudden this team has a lot of second half firepower, as we saw him score 30 unanswered points last week in BC.
Dave Ridgway will be attempting a field goal of 20 yards. And Robo kicker is automatic from this range, and he's at times almost automatic from any range on his home turf, Taylor Field in Regina.
Now get a 28-point winter inspection, oil, lube, and filter, tire rotation, and a 4-liter jug of washer fluid, all for just $24.99, only at Canadian Tire.
A 9-play drive covered 82 yards and was capped on the 20-yard field goal by David Ridgway. Ray Yock giving instructions to Ridgway on what he wants him to do in this kickoff. Ridgway was another of the players that was under criticism today in the local media. Ray Yock not happy with the team's kicking game in the last few weeks.
Well, he's been critical of Ridgway's performance, but Ridgway is kicking at 74%, only 4% under his career average. And you know, when you look at Dave, it's really hard to fault him because the offense has had opportunities to score, and they've had the big turnovers. And when you have a player that's in the spotlight, like a cornerback, like a kicker, like a quarterback, it's always easy to point a finger at those individuals.
And as Ridgway told us, he said, if they don't want me in Regina, I think I can find a job somewhere else.
I think there'll be plenty of takers for him. And he also has the book residuals to live off of.
2 minutes to the BF Goodrich TA halftime report. Here's what's coming up. The CFL has come to the heartbeat of Canadian football to stage the Grey Cup. We'll see how Regina plans to host the league championship for the first time, and we'll hear from Bomber slot back Gerald Wilcox. The Bombers keeping an eye on this football game. They play the Argos tonight. Bombers in Saskatchewan in a tie for 5th place in the North. Whit?
Yes, if the Riders win, Winnipeg must win tonight. 12-3, Saskatchewan leads Calgary. Garcia from the shotgun. Now he steps up, dumps it off, and is completing the pass to Vaughn for a first down at the 54-yard line. That was a gain of 17.
This is the situation where Saskatchewan was in last week in Baltimore, where they had held the Stallions in check for 28 minutes of the first half, but they were able to get a late second quarter touchdown. Now this is where the defense must rise to the occasion, and someone needs to be a true leader.
Alan Pitts with Ulmer all over him, couldn't make the catch.
Second and 10 at the 50.
Ulmer has been consistent at his halfback position, and he was up to the challenge this afternoon of Alan Pitts. He says if you're going to get any type of accolades throughout this league, you have to play against the best, and he was looking forward to that matchup this afternoon.
9 completions and 16 attempts for Garcia for 87 yards. Alan Pitts has averaged 99.5 yards per game this season. Sapunjas is the man that Garcia goes to for a first down in front of Aaron Ruffin. That's a pickup of 14 yards for Sapunjas.
And this has been a big problem for Saskatchewan. They've kept teams pinned down consistently. They've let them out with the 2nd and 10, been able to pick up 12 to 15 yards. They have to find a stopper.
Sapunjas now with back-to-back seasons of 100 or more catches. 4 receivers wide to the right. Movement at the line of scrimmage.
Pangelitis and Romano on the right side of the offensive line. Take your pick.
Referee Jake Ireland explaining the options to Bobby Jurison.
Still first down.
Well, Bobby Jurison has been putting a lot of pressure on Jeff Garcia as of late, but Jeff Garcia has been hanging in there, finding his open receivers.
1st and 15 with 1:27 remaining in the half. Over the middle, and Danielson makes the catch very close to that forward marker. That will be about a 15-yard gain, depending on the spot. It does appear to be a first down.
The converted quarterback from UBC in his 5th year at university changed his position to wide receiver, and he's really developed here in this Calgary offense, being the 5th receiver in that pack for them.
Danielson now comes wide left along with Pee Wee Smith. Garcia from the shotgun. Looks left. He's got Danielson again. Excellent move on Ulmer, and Danielson takes it down inside the 15-yard line. 18 yards, the pickup to Danielson. This Calgary team over the last few weeks has continued to impress with their ability to put drives together when they really need them.
Well, you know, what's really impressive about their receiving corps is you have Danielson, who was a former quarterback. You have Sapunjas, who was a former running back. You have Vaughn, who was a former running back. They have a lot of tools and players with great agility running pass routes.
Garcia over the middle, intended for Ulmer, or for Vaughn, I should say. It's incomplete.
And Van Bellingham once again on the safety blitz, just a step short of getting to Garcia, but the official, the extra defender for Saskatchewan on that play, they had 13 defenders out there, broke up the pass.
56 seconds remaining in the first half. Garcia now 12 of 20 for 134 yards.
And that's a magnificent shot here at Taylor Field to see a crowd like that in the end zone.
Largest crowd of the year anywhere in the CFL. Garcia has it deflected. Van Bellingham thought that he was going to step in front of the throw and pick it off. It was intended for Danielson. It was deflected, and a couple of other riders had a shot at it.
Well, he said that he would pick off too, but Danielson became the defender on this play as he gets a hand in on Van Bellingham and strips him of that football. That would have been a big play for Saskatchewan's defense to stop Calgary down here in the red zone.
Dale Joseph also had a shot at it. Aaron Ruffin is the injured Saskatchewan defensive back.
The trainer, Ivan Gutford, that's a very tough guy. You know, he's the only one here at Taylor Field running around in shorts, and he's had a busy afternoon. But Aaron Ruffin broke his hand earlier in the year. He's Saskatchewan's top punt returner, and he missed 6 games of returning kicks because he's closing in on 1,000 career yards as a punt returner. But Mark McLaughlin, once again, will get an opportunity to get 3 points for Calgary.
He has attempted one other field goal this afternoon. It was good. A 40-yard field goal for McLaughlin. And with 50 seconds remaining in the first half, as Ruffin is escorted to the bench, McLaughlin will be attempting a 21-yard field goal from the hash marks. It's good. 47 seconds left in the half. It's now a 12-6 ball game.
You know, that missed opportunity defensively for Saskatchewan could be a big point as this game wears on. When you have an opportunity to take the football away from Calgary, you cannot let that slip through your fingers, because this is a team, as we've seen last week, can score a lot of points in the second half, 30 unanswered points against BC. And Coach Buono has been able to pick up his team at halftime and get them motivated, as we see Jim Daly once again, 2 weeks in succession, his team with a great defensive game plan and execution.
Yes, his Roughriders were well prepared for Baltimore last Saturday at Memorial Stadium, and they have come out in this opening half against Calgary, giving the Stampeders all sorts of difficulties. Joseph, the ball carrier, picks up about 3 yards before being driven back by Alondra Johnson. He had a rib injury in the rematch against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that kept him out of the lineup from September 10th until today. People were wondering just how those ribs would stand up under the pounding he might take today.
Well, this is a very tough defense, and this linebacking core of McClanahan, Finley, and Johnson in there. These guys run from sideline to sideline, laying a lot of licks on ball carriers, and Saskatchewan has not been able to get their running game on track. But that's a little rustiness with Joseph being out of the lineup, but now Jones is forced with a 2nd and 7, the most critical play of the first half for Saskatchewan.
And with the Calgary Stampeders calling a timeout, Frank Spaziani has an opportunity to get his defensive unit set for this Rough Riders second down play with 42 seconds remaining in the half. The toss to Joseph. And the Stampeders were ready for it, and they are going to get the ball back. But how much time remains will depend on how much time the Saskatchewan Roughriders use in launching this third down punt. Wally Buono has already used his timeout.
That was a good play call by Coach Ray Yock on the sideline. Keep the ball on the ground, keep the clock running, because once the official winds it in, the clock will start moving, and Saskatchewan can eat 18 to 19 seconds off of the clock prior to taking the snap and run it down and give Calgary opportunity at maybe only one more offensive play before the half.
Brent Matic keeping an eye on the game clock, the 20-second clock, and he's going to take it down just as far as he can before launching this third down punt. And it will bounce out of bounds back at the Calgary 29-yard line with 13 seconds remaining in the half.
Now, one of the things, and that was a great kick by Matic, but one of the things Saskatchewan has to prevent against is going into a prevent defense. You play your normal defense, because if you allow these Calgary receivers to catch and run with the football, they'll eat up a lot of yardage, and McLaughlin can get it there from 58 yards on in.
Matic spent 3 years with Calgary before being released in 1992, so he probably has a little additional incentive to perform well in today's football game. Fake inside. Garcia throws over the middle, and Danielson has the football as he gets it up to the 48-yard line. There's also a penalty flag on the play with 7 seconds showing on the clock till halftime.
The ineligible receiver downfield once again for Calgary is going to bring this one back, and a big break for Saskatchewan because Danielson had got that one close to midfield.
Ineligible receiver, Calgary number 88. Repeat, first down.
Second time that Calgary has been guilty of that same infraction. They get that receiver moving up to the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped, so he thus becomes ineligible.
You're only allowed to have 6 men on the line of scrimmage at the snap of the football, and Calgary has snuck an extra one into the box.
And right now, the Stampeders are going to be content to take the final seconds off the clock. And the left hand of the Calgary quarterback, Jeff Garcia, is covered in blood right now. Not quite sure whether he jammed it on somebody's helmet or whether he had it stepped on. But the good news for the Stampeders is that it's his left hand and not his right.
Yeah, but also he has to take the snap when he has both hands under center, and that's a very jarring situation with Jamie Crysdale bringing the ball up. And so they're going to have to attend to his left hand. Look like his index finger might have had a cut on it, and that's going to be some concern for the medical staff at halftime.
Saskatchewan calling a timeout. Garcia taking a look at the injured hand and waiting for time to be whistled in. And again, he is simply going to kill off the final seconds on the clock as the Saskatchewan Roughriders will head to the dressing room, leading the Calgary Stampeders by 6 points, to the delight of this 54,000-plus crowd.
Welcome to the BF Goodrich TA halftime. Now here's your host, Mark Lee.
Back live at Taylor Field, where the home team has a 6-point lead at halftime. Well, every other Canadian CFL city has had a chance to host the Grey Cup game. And finally, for the first time, its turn. Oh, they said it's too cold and it's too small. But the people of Saskatchewan plan to show that the Grey Cup has come home to the place where the game is most appreciated. 1989, the Roughriders win what is perhaps the most exciting Grey Cup ever. The tremendous Saskatchewan fan support as much a part of the spectacle is about to peak as Saskatchewan prepares to host its first Grey Cup.
This isn't Regina's Grey Cup, it just happens to be in Regina. It's Saskatchewan's Grey Cup. And Davidson being a small town halfway between Regina and Saskatoon, it seemed appropriate to make the official announcement, have our kickoff in smaller town Saskatchewan, let Canada know what Saskatchewan's.
Population 900, typical of the province-wide support. The biggest challenge, how could the CFL's smallest city, Regina, accommodate its biggest event? The answer, people opening their homes to visitors.
We knew from the start that hotel accommodation was going to be a problem in Regina. We just don't have enough hotel rooms, and we were upfront about that. We told the CFL, we told everyone involved that we have a limited number, that everyone who wanted a place to stay would have a bed.
Taylor Field has virtually doubled in size. 2 streets had to be closed to make room for an enormous project of scaffolding.
This would be the 3rd largest city, if you wish to call it, in Saskatchewan. It's really quite incredible because in very approximate terms, we'll have approximately enough people here to represent a 1/3 of the population. Our temporary stands, which seat about 27,500, they cover an area nearly 3 acres. There are over 20,000 12-foot planks making up the seating and floorboards. So there's a lot of seats.
For the final home game, tickets at a premium. Today's Grey Cup dry run, a testament to rider pride and faint hope the home team will be back.
Having the stadium ready for Grey Cup for the last game of the season, it's appropriate that it's Calgary, it's in town. I mean, looking pretty good for Calgary to be in the Grey Cup again. I shouldn't say again, haven't been for a couple of years, but hopefully they will be this year. I think I'd like to think it's a dress rehearsal for the Grey Cup, and in that I mean hopefully the riders in Calgary will be in the Grey Cup.
And if today's dry run, this spectacle here at Taylor Field, is any indication, 54,000 fans plus, we can expect the Grey Cup in Regina to be a tribute to football. At the half, Saskatchewan in front by 6. We're back after this.
When Subway asked us, Bucky and Vinny, to review their authentic steak and cheese sandwich, we went to the steak and cheese capital of the world, Philadelphia.
Hey, this is where they filmed my favorite movie. What a sandwich.
Ah, I understand. I know television for those who've been there.
When it comes to lunch, your search weekdays on CBC.
To advertise.
The ad bus.
Larry Mandel brings his own weird style of comedy to CBC Sunny Skies.
Okay, Sparrow, here's...
Sunny Skies. When
I don't like reading the Toronto Star. I don't like reading any weekend.
Wheels. Live report. The home team, Saskatchewan, in front 12-6 over Calgary at the half, and they've just finished giving away a few automobiles at center field. Everybody's happy here today. Well, the Riders are in a dead heat with Winnipeg for the 5th and final playoff spot in the North. The Bombers playing at home tonight to the Argos. They're keeping one eye on this game because they can't afford another loss. At stake, 16 straight seasons in the playoffs. Earlier, we talked with Bombers slotback Gerald Wilcox about how critical this game is for his team tonight. Gerald, there's been no shortage of talented players in Winnipeg this year, but that talent hasn't translated into a good football team. Why do you think that is?
Oh, no question. We have a lot of talented athletes out on our field, and I think what the biggest problem that we've maybe had throughout the year is that we have a lot of young. A lot of athletes don't make a team. A lot of athletes playing together make a team, and that might have been some of the problems that we were having throughout the year.
Now, the team has been criticized, Gerald, for an arrogant attitude. Despite a 5-11 record, the team is talking more like last year when it was a power. Is that fair?
I don't know if you'd call it fair, but I do know that in a game like football, you have to carry a very arrogant and very cocky and confident attitude onto the field, or you're going to get stepped on. It's a violent, aggressive, show by action and by mouth game, and if you don't carry that out there with you, it's going to be a long afternoon.
It's often said, Gerald, the Bombers go as you go. You're up to, what, 847 yards in receiving. The last 5 games have been good to you. Does it look like you might get 1,000 for the 3rd straight year?
Yeah, I'd be happy with a 1-yard year if I could guarantee that opportunity to play in the Grey Cup this year, but it's been a difficult year for me, individually as well as a team, and we're just going to come together this evening and try to put our best foot forward.
Well, there's a lot of interest from the Prairies in your game and this one here in Saskatchewan. Good luck to you tonight.
Thanks very much.
Bombers watching this game closely, and what they're seeing is the Saskatchewan football team that has its future very much in its own control right now. Yeah, I'm sure what they're seeing they don't particularly like, because one Saskatchewan win combined with one Winnipeg loss, and Saskatchewan will finish ahead of the Bombers. It's not out of the realms of possibility for Saskatchewan to also catch Hamilton.
Well, it's really not, as Saskatchewan has played well defensively the past couple of games. In the first half, they just need to stretch that out for 60 minutes. But offensively, Don Narcisse has been the weapon for the past couple of games with a 7-yard touchdown pass here in the first half. Well, Donald Narcisse established a record with that catch, the 103rd this season for Donald Narcisse. And Narcisse in the first half was the story, much as he was in Baltimore offensively for Saskatchewan. Defensively, though, Saskatchewan and Bellingham, with its 7th interception on the season, has been able to will stand off this Calgary offense, and they've done a fine job in making those adjustments, and Calgary really has a test here in the second half. Well, it looked as though Calgary was going to drive in for a touchdown after the interception by Jordan. Van Bellingham comes back with an interception, and Saskatchewan moves it 82 yards for a field goal. Saskatchewan, I think, has looked pretty good in this first half. Look at this press box. Down where the fun is, the peanuts, the popcorn, the hot dog. We'll be back to Saskatchewan in the second half of this game where the Riders lead it by 6 right after this.
The B.F. Goodrich TA Performance Radio now gives you more performance than ever. Thanks to up-to-the-minute G-Wedge technology, it delivers exceptional road handling control in even the tightest turns. The B.F. Goodrich TA Radio. Performing, well, almost nothing.
It's the most energy-efficient foam on the block.
900 dealer buying power.
Means saving energy and saving...
With Weather Shield expanding foam sealant.
We buy big.
You save big.
Great for those hard-to-seal areas, only $14.97.
Now that's buying power. Plus lots of friendly advice. 100% Canadian owned. Insulating you from low temperatures and high prices.
Great price, friendly advice at Home Hardware.
K.D. Lang, up close
You have to live your life exactly how you're ready to face the consequences.
and very personal. Sunday at 9.
Okay, listen up. There's a new Sports Select game in town called Point Spread, and it works like this. Every game has a favorite and an underdog. Usually the favorite will eat the underdog's lunch. So Point Spread was invented. The favorite just can't win. He has to cover the spread. That evens things out. And the winnings make it worth your while. So bone up on new Point Spread from Sports Select. Oh, it's an easy way to get in the game.
George Fox, Time of My Life, starring George Fox.
I'm gonna have the time of my life, loving you, yeah.
With his special guest, Patricia Conroy, Shania Twain, Lisa Brokaw, and Susan Aglukar.
I'm gonna have the time of my life tonight, loving you today.
George Fox, Time of My Life, Sunday at 8 p.m., 8:30 in Newfoundland. The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by BF Goodrich TA. Performance. Serious performance.
Welcome back to Taylor Field. We saw Jeff Garcia with a cut on his left hand late in the first half. Obviously, nothing too serious. Garcia started slowly on Thanksgiving Monday against the BC Lions and then came on very strong in the second half. He completed 15 second-half passes after completing just 5 in the first half. 3 touchdown throws, 243 yards. So we'll see what adjustments the Calgary Stampeders make in this second half against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Perhaps adjustments somewhat similar to what they made against the BC Lions.
Well, you know, their defense put them in great opportunities last week versus the BC Lions. They gave them the ball with short fields to play on, and the offense was able to come out and capitalize on that. When you get a defense that will turn the ball over for you and you can score touchdowns, the momentum will automatically swing your way.
And with the ball bouncing out of bounds, would you believe, listen to this, 55,438 in attendance at Taylor Field.
Talk about rider pride, and the rest of the CFL is going to have to take their hats off to Saskatchewan because they've done a fine job of hosting the largest regular season crowd in the CFL in the 1995 season.
A dry run for November 19th at Taylor Field. And this is going to be a capacity crowd once again. This is the final home game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and statistically, these were the numbers through the first 30 minutes. A gentleman by the name of Dave Taylor is in charge of league stats at Taylor Field, and he always composes a little poem for every Saskatchewan home game. And today's poem goes something like this. The Suns' fall rays are on attack. The end zone flags are hanging slack. New metal stands like Lego stack. This place has never been so packed. Until break up, we won't be back. On the kickoff return, it's Marvin Coleman bringing the ball to the 50 and up to midfield. An excellent back to the 47-yard line. And Ray Yock had similar sentiments to those echoed by Dave Ridgway when Ritchie said, we don't want to continually play Calgary on a short field, and right now Saskatchewan is defending on a short field. 55,438, the largest crowd by 22,000 at Taylor Field, and of course they are taking advantage of the additional seating that has been installed for the Grey Cup game on November the 9th.
Well, that's just great community and provincial pride here in the province of Saskatchewan. Everyone wanting to turn out and be a part of this afternoon.
Garcia's pass over the middle intended for Sapunjas, broken up by Aaron Ruffin. When you think about it, 55,000 people, that's about 5% of the total population of this province.
Well, they've all turned out and they're having a great time. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have played themselves proud in the first half. They're looking to keep that intensity up here in the second.
Had a game since taking over as the starter from Doug Flutie, in which he has not thrown a touchdown pass. Throw intended for Sapunjas is low, and again Ruffin was defending against Sapunjas. And Garcia is not pleased that he took some punishment as he released that football, and he is limping as he heads off to the bench.
Well, that's one of the things the past two games is that the defenses have been able to get to Garcia. Last week, BC blitz continued to play shots on the young quarterback, and that is the telling statistic. It's not always the quarterback sacks. It's the number of times that you hit a quarterback to get him off rhythm.
Jurison already has 2 sacks and has been in the face of Jeff Garcia most of the afternoon. Another high snap for Martino. But he is able to pull it down, and Aaron Ruffin is pulled down up at the 17-yard line. No, that's a helmet that's lying on the field. McClanahan lost his helmet. Saw that flash of red, and for a moment I thought it was a penalty flag, but it's McClanahan who lost his headgear. McClanahan playing an outside linebacking position for the Stampeders. Prior to joining Calgary, he had played the middle, had to make some adjustments. Jones has held a hot hand through the first 30 minutes of this football game, completing 16 of 21 passes. Threw that one away. Couldn't find a man open.
Well, he was threw it away. He was very lucky that he didn't get Dan Payne, an ineligible receiver, downfield. The big offensive tackle was 8 yards downfield.
Larry Rickman, the owner of the Calgary Stampeders, said he thought this would be a very tough game this afternoon at Taylor Field. Roughriders would be inspired by this capacity crowd. These teams have a rematch set for McMahon Stadium in Calgary on the 22nd of this month. Home-and-home affair between Calgary and Saskatchewan. Algard makes his first catch of the day, close to a first down. Some are wondering if this might be final appearance in a Saskatchewan uniform at Taylor Field.
Well, Harles only had the 1 reception last week in Baltimore, but what his role has been is an adjustment this year with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's more of a blocker this year on running plays. He's not the consistent receiver that you've seen in the past, but when called upon, you can rely upon him.
He also played earlier this year as a fullback rather than a slot back. Joseph simply could not find a hole. And that's something that the Calgary Stampeders take great pride in. They don't allow teams to run the ball against them.
Great defensive team pursuit Calgary possesses. They have a lot of pride in getting around the ball. It's not always whether you make the tackle. It's whether you're in the frame when they're going through the framework, and they don't have the loafers on their defense.
Donald Narcisse, once again the favorite target of Warren Jones. Including this game. Over the last, Narcisse has averaged 8 receptions per game. Jones takes off and runs for what appears to be a first down, but there is a penalty flag. And it's going to go for naught, this 12-yard run, as the result of a procedure call against Saskatchewan.
Procedure, Saskatchewan, no end. Repeat second down.
What happened, they ran a quads to the wide side of the field and didn't have an offensive receiver on the short side, and that's why they got caught with no end. You have to have a guy up with an eligible number on that side of the field, and it cost Saskatchewan a first down.
The Riders trying to give some different looks to the Calgary Stampeders this afternoon as far as their offensive formations are concerned.
And they have the same offensive formation once again. Now they bring Boyko over in the heat.
2nd and 15. Jones from the shotgun. He's got Farthing on the sidelines for a first down. 22 yards, Warren Jones to Dan Farthing.
As I commented in the first half, you have to like the way that Dan Farthing has grown up in the slot back position here in Saskatchewan. He's able to work off the defensive back, but he comes back to his quarterback. Don't understand what they have to do in that situation, but Farthing has picked that up. First down, Saskatchewan.
5 receptions for 69 yards today for Dan Farthing. 1st and 10 for the Riders from the 46. Albert Turner on the hitch screen, and Turner has another first down, taking the ball to the Calgary 50-yard line. A 13-yard pickup.
Jones held a similar hot hand last week. He has to stay with what he's doing. Right now, he's throwing the... That means that he's not really surveying the defense. He's going back to his designated spot and releasing it. The receivers are getting there, and Saskatchewan is executing at this point.
69 yards already. This is the 2nd best game of the season for Dan Farthing. Penalty flag downfield as the pass was intended for Donald Narcisse.
2nd and 10 at the 50.
Again, we'll wait for Jake Ireland to inform us of the decision down in the field. Farthing's previous best game was 88 yards on the September 3rd engagement with Winnipeg.
And I think that might have been the best game for every Rider.
Too many men. Calgary. First down.
That was the worst beating that the Winnipeg Blue Club history, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders on that Labor Day game here at Taylor Field just relished in that afternoon of fine football in front of a huge home crowd on that day.
And that's one of the reasons why, if Winnipeg and Saskatchewan wind up in the tie, Saskatchewan will get the final playoff berth because of that 56-4 drubbing here at Taylor Field.
The point difference always comes to play when you're playoff jockeying in the CFL.
Albert Turner is taken out of bounds about a yard. First down. Marvin Coleman is the man who made the tackle. It appears as though they're trying to work on Coleman this afternoon.
Well, Coleman has had problems the past couple of weeks in BC. Last week he gave up the 2 touchdown passes to Gordon. And Albert Turner possesses the same type of speed of a Bobby Gordon, and he can go deep. Saskatchewan now is coming with a heavy formation in the backfield. This time they bring in Hendrickson at the fullback position, offensive guard number.
2nd and 3, the toss to Joseph. And Alondra Johnson came up to deny him first down yardage. Decision time now for Saskatchewan.
A big decision time. And Alondra Johnson last week played with a cast on his right thumb that he injured in practice, and he had his first interception of the season, and he was thinking about keeping that cast on the rest of the year and making look.
Joseph was only able to get 1, so Dave Ridgway will try his 2nd field goal of the game, his previous kick from 20 yards. This is a 39-yard effort. 5 times this year, Ridgway has split the uprights from outside 50 yards. He holds the CFL record for the longest field goal and most in a game. And this is his 2nd of the afternoon as Saskatchewan leads it by a score of 15. 9:05 is the time remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Are you ready to play the B.F. Goodrich TA Freewheelin' Football Contest? Here's today's freewheelin' question. Mail us your answer along with your name, address, and phone number. You could win one of 15 sets of 4 B.F. Goodrich TA tires, or our grand prize, a freewheelin' trip for 4 to the 1995 Grey Cup, including flights, hotels, cash, and more. Keep watching the CFL on BF B.F. Goodrich TA freewheeling football. It's fun, it's football, and it's free.
Grey Cup Fever. It's here at Taylor Field and everywhere in Saskatchewan. CBC wants you to show us a sign of your Grey Cup spirit at home, at work, at school, in your community. Send us a photo or home video of your entries. Wednesdays on CBC NewsHour, we'll announce the prize winners. And have we got prizes worth tens of thousands of dollars? Grey Cup tickets and merchandise, rider game tickets, and more. Get your contest entries in now. Come on, Saskatchewan.
This year is too exciting to not want to be involved somehow.
Grey Cup Odyssey, Monday at 7.
Every weekday I host the noon edition from 12 to 1. We look at agriculture and rural news from across Saskatchewan. And then, from 1 to 2, it's a provincial open line show on the noon edition phone-in. Call me with your comments. I want to hear from you.
The big game. I'm Jeff Garcia. This is my show. Webster Grey Cup Odyssey, Monday night at 7 on TV.
In 1961, I never thought I'd ever see a Grey Cup game in Regina. And I never thought I'd see 55,000 at a regular season game at Taylor Field.
Well, I was just learning how to walk good back in those days. I didn't even know what Regina meant.
In those days, 10,000 was sometimes the norm at Taylor Field. Even fewer if weather conditions were bad.
Well, Saskatchewan has done itself proud in putting on as far as Grey Cup is going to be here at Taylor Field. They've packed the house. The fans have come out. They've enjoyed this afternoon, and they're showing the rest of the Canada that they deserve to have the show.
Well, Jeff Garcia has to get it going in the second half. Twice this year he has passed for better than 400 yards, once for better than 500 yards. He's undefeated so far as a starter. And if he continues to get help like that from Vince, he'll keep the streak intact.
Well, Vince Danielson has become his primary target. Alan Pitts is not playing here in the second half. Tyrone Williams is back in the lineup, number 83, the rookie wide receiver that came on 4 weeks ago. But Danielson has become the go-to guy for Calgary.
With Alan Pitts out, they may be paying some special attention to Sapunjas. It was Danielson out in the flat again. Garcia was looking for, but Rogers got a hand on it to knock it down before it crossed the line of scrimmage.
Saskatchewan defense, what they've done is become very disciplined here as of late. People are playing their assignments. You don't have players gambling, being out of position, and they've been able to make the big plays defensively.
A great party atmosphere at Taylor Field this afternoon, and we'll see more of that during Grey Cup week in Regina. The Grey Cup committee claims they promised everyone a bed. I think there are a lot of people who probably won't require any place to sleep. Aaron brings it up to the 43-yard line, and that's where Saskatchewan will scrimmage first and 10 with 8 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Now, when you buy gas at Petro-Canada, you can earn points. Petro Points. Petro Points help you earn free rewards for your car.
Coming.
Of course, what you do with your rewards
Oh, Henry.
is up to you. Petro Points. The points program for your car from Canada's gas station.
Comes to choosing insulation, most people are still looking through rose-colored glasses. Here's an alternative to glass fiber insulation you should know about: the Weather Shield Wall Bar Insulation System. The Weather Shield Wall Bar Insulation System gives your home's attics and walls a perfect fit of insulation, providing a quiet, draft-free, comfortable environment while saving up to 50% on your heating and cooling costs. Get filled in on the benefits of the Weather Shield Wall Bar Insulation System. For a free brochure or a licensed Weather Shield Wall Bar dealer near you, call 1-800-925-5657.
It's the night the stars come out. Kurt Browning, Jose Chouinard, Brian Orser, Christy Yamaguchi, Scott Hamilton. The world's best for a night you'll never forget. Sun Life Stars on Ice, a CBC special presentation, October 22nd, presented by Eaton.
Here's another B.F. Goodrich TA freewheeling football winner. Keep watching the CFL on CBC. You could be a winner.
Well, the Roughriders with a win could keep alive their hopes of playing a Grey Cup game at Taylor Field. Since 1985, Mike Anderson has played every game the Saskatchewan Roughriders have participated in. This is his 203rd consecutive appearance. Penalty flag. It appeared as though Will Johnson was well across the line of scrimmage before the ball was snapped.
Narcisse. Playing 203 consecutive games for the Roughriders at center. His father, Paul, who also played here in Saskatchewan and is sitting in the fans, a proud member of the Saskatchewan Roughrider organization, also started his career here as a tight end, was moved to offensive tackle, and at one point during his career at 6'5", 283 pounds.
Calgary number 81, repeat first down.
Paul was the largest offensive lineman in the CFL at 283 pounds. And his son Mike at about 280 is just a chip off the old block.
Father Paul watching with great interest this afternoon. 1st and 5, and again Joseph is not going to find any room to run as Will Johnson, who was guilty of being offside on the previous play, somewhat atones for that error.
Well, you have to be very impressed with Calgary's run defense this afternoon. They're first in the league in given on the ground, but Mike Anderson working against Ziskovic right in the middle of that line, getting his job done. It's just Johnson folding from the outside, making the tackle.
2nd and 5, Saskatchewan. The Riders are at their own 49-yard line, leading by a score of 15-6. Mikowski out trying to protect for Jones. The pass for Narcisse, incomplete. You know, Ray York talked about Mikowski and how he is developing as an offensive lineman in this, his 2nd consecutive start. A good job of getting out there to try and set up the block for Warren Jones on his roll to the left.
Number 60 in your screen, and that's always a gauge of young linemen, how well they can get out and pull in front of their quarterback. And Mikowski is getting out, trying to buy his quarterback Jones extra time, and being that young, he's possessed a lot of mobility and showed that he's into this football game this afternoon.
Pee Wee Smith takes the ball at the 20-yard line. And the ball came loose. Saskatchewan claim they've got it. But I think the officials are ruling that it's still Calgary football. 6:29 remains in the 3rd quarter.
The B.F. Goodrich TA Performance Radio now gives you more performance than ever. Thanks to up-to-the-minute G-Wedge technology, it delivers exceptional road handling control in even the tightest turns. The B.F. Goodrich TA Radio. Nothing. Well, almost nothing.
His parents have HIV. Now it's Robert's turn to be tested.
I just don't know if the child is infected. And if he has it, then we'll love him anyway and be beside him until the time comes that he has to leave.
Waiting for Robert, Monday on the CBC News Hour.
Even when the shoes don't fit, Howard Thornton still wears them. He's in your shoes, Tuesday at 6 on CBC News Hour.
Hey, you! You fellas must be strangers around here. I better straighten.
Wrong, officer?
You just happen to be violating Section 17B, Article 4. That's all that's wrong.
The safety belt law.
Oh, we never wear safety belts. We're dummies.
Now, look, you happen to be talking to the law. Don't you get smart-nosed with me.
How are we going to pay for this? We're always broke.
Let's get that vehicle out of here.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Saskatchewan with a 9-point lead with 6:29 remaining in the third quarter. The Riders thought they had come up with this football as Pee Wee Smith was tackled, but the ball came loose when he hit the ground. Smith has been used in a punt return role this afternoon. Certainly capable of bringing one back. As a matter of fact, in 1991, he had 2 punt return touchdowns in the same game against Edmonton. Garcia from the shotgun inside to Tony Stewart. We haven't seen much of him today, and Stewart will get a first down.
And this one's going to be brought back on a holding penalty. Excellent execution by Calgary running that counter trap, but a holding will bring this one back.
41-yard line.
Well, this 14-yard gain is going to be wiped out by a penalty. Stewart has only carried the ball 3 times prior to that last run.
Holding. Calgary number 88. Repeat first down.
Well, Vince Danielson is certainly figuring in this ballgame today as a receiver. He's been guilty a couple of times of lining up improperly. And now he's called for holding. Intended for Smith, incomplete. Benson Donaldson was defending against Smith. Donaldson feels more comfortable playing the corner. He was inside earlier in his CFL career with Saskatchewan.
And when Ray Yock took over as head coach here in Saskatchewan, he had a talk with Donaldson and asked him where did he prefer to play, and he said on the corner. He just felt out of place at the halfback position, and he's been a big plus for the Rider defense.
Garcia, who has completed almost 70% of his passes previously this year, struggling to complete 50% this afternoon. As he has run out of bounds.
You talk about Garcia struggling to complete 50% of his passes. Saskatchewan has only allowed 16 quarterback completions, pass completions, in their last 2 games versus Baltimore. And a big part of that is the pass rush by the defensive line, rushing Garcia, forcing him out of the pocket, not giving him an open receiver downfield. He has to tuck it in and take the loss. Lybrant Robinson, the Saskatchewan quarterback sack leader with 8 on the season. That time down Garcia.
5:39 remaining in the third quarter. Martino got his third down punt away just in time. It's a good one taken by Ruffin back at the 42. McClanahan drills him to the turf after he was held up initially by Biggs. A 47-yard kick, 4 yards on the return.
To try to develop a running game. They've only rushed for 29 yards here in this game. Calgary has only given up 55 yards per game on the ground. So if you're trying to develop that, this is actually the wrong team to try that. Jones has had a lot of success throwing the football. He needs to stay with that.
Hit screen to Donald Narcisse, read well by Dondre Owens. He made the tackle right at the line of scrimmage. Tomorrow afternoon on CBC television, the BC Lions take on the Hamilton. The game begins at 1:30 Eastern Time on the full CBC network.
And that's a must game for both of those teams. Hamilton in desperate search of a victory, as well as BC. Both teams have gone in the tank since the midway point of the season.
At one point, it looked as though Hamilton was guaranteed at least the 4th place finish. Now they could be caught. And coming up the middle, McClanahan and Pope. And down goes Jones back at the 35-yard line.
And Jones is still down. He had gone down on the field, and McClanahan came in and drilled the Saskatchewan on the ground. And normally the officials will protect the quarterback when he's gone down, seeing that he's not trying to advance the ball and blow the whistle. That time Jones had to take a free hit from McClanahan. You'll see right here, watch as he goes down. He's not trying to advance the ball, but McClanahan comes in with that knee in the small of the back, and Jones felt the full blunt of that blow.
Well, he's able to get up and jog off to the sidelines. He may have been momentarily winded, and Rider coach Ray Yock is certainly hoping it is nothing more serious. Excellent third down punt by Matic, his best of the game. Coleman goes back to his own 18-yard line. And then David Pitcher does a fine job of tracking him down and preventing the return from coming back any further than the 26. That was a 53-yard punt, 7 yards on the run back.
David Pitcher's the big hit man for special team play here in Saskatchewan. You see that extra bubble on top. Give him some extra padding on top because he had suffered a couple of concussions, but that time excellent downfield coverage on Coleman.
Every team has an individual who shines on special teams. For Saskatchewan, it's David Pitcher. 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Garcia from the shotgun. Incomplete. I think he was looking for Danielson, who was being covered by Ulmer.
One of the things that Garcia did last week is that he was more apt to run with the football in the second half. This week, hit by Ruffin that comes late, and by staying in the pocket, he has not put any extra pressure on the extremities of Saskatchewan's defense, so he'll probably have to pull it down and start running with it more often here in the second half.
Calgary has completed just 1 second down play. Here comes the safety blitz. And down goes Garcia as the safety. Dave Bellingham gets him.
Bellingham has had an outstanding afternoon here at Taylor Field. You've seen him with an interception. You've seen him come on the safety blitz. This time he's able to get there. Garcia had nowhere to run. Saskatchewan collapsed the pocket. Van Bellingham with his second quarterback sack of the season.
Back to 25. Down goes Garcia, and that means Martino comes in for this third down punt. 3rd and 12, Calgary with 3:20 remaining in the third quarter. Pressure up. Martino got it away. Ulmer back at the 35-yard line. Pretty good hit put on Ulmer by McClanahan. Tony Stewart was also out there on the special team. A 49-yard punt, 6 yards on the run back.
This has become a chess match between the two punters, trying to gain field position. Martino versus Matic, back and forth.
The contenders for the final playoff position have these opponents over the balance of the schedule. Today, of course, Saskatchewan here at Taylor Field against Calgary. And then BC. Winnipeg with just 2 games remaining. Tonight against Toronto and then against Ottawa. Of course, if Toronto loses, that eliminates them from the playoff chase. It appeared as though Dan Payne moved out of his position. And if Saskatchewan wins today and Winnipeg loses, that eliminates both Winnipeg and Toronto.
Procedure, Saskatchewan, number 57, still first down.
Hard to miss Dan Payne when there's a procedure call, but he's done a good job this afternoon against Marvin Pope. Marvin Pope has really come in the CFL.
6'7", 320, maybe 30 pounds. But he's become a more physical offensive lineman in recent weeks. That's something they were looking for from Payne. And Pope this time is able to get through and drop Jones for a loss, and he went right around Dan Payne.
Just a straight speed rush. Marvin Pope had talked about prior to the game, spending some time with him on the field, how he's learned how to dip around the corner, and that's just what he did against Dan Payne. Payne at 6'7", Pope at 5'11". Once he got that shoulder dip, Payne could only push down, but with the strength of a Marvin Pope, he was able to drive through.
Pope spends a lot of time studying offensive linemen, and he feels he's picked up something on Payne without question. Jones was under pressure from McClanahan. He had to throw it away.
Well, the pressure of a Calgary defense, this is where the game's weak, is that the defense had picked up the tempo. The coaching staff had sit down, talked with them, told them that someone needed to make a big play. You saw McClanahan coming through free. Jones couldn't find an open receiver.
2:01 remaining. McClanahan has been very strong in this second half. They are very pleased with his development in Calgary. He has been learning the outside linebacking position very well. Pee Wee Smith takes the ball but stumbles at midfield. down to the Saskatchewan 51-yard line.
Well, Don, this is something that I've been waiting all afternoon to spring upon you. Who is the Eastern Division all-time leading rusher? It's a very easy question if you're playing in the West. You know that George Reed is the CFL and Western Division all-time leading rusher, but I'm going to give you a few moments to think about that. I'm going to take away your stats book.
You're really going to handicap me, are you? Well, I'll have to think about that one for a few minutes. Our viewers an opportunity to think about it as well. Pee-wee Smith makes the catch, and there's also a penalty flag in the Calgary backfield.
And this is one that Saskatchewan is not going to be pleased with. Normally, you get rushing the quarterback at this spot.
Roughing the passer. Saskatchewan number 68. First down.
Glenn Coca was guilty of roughing Jeff Garcia.
Well, Coca comes through late. Garcia's delivered that ball, and he takes 2 full strides. And this is what has hurt Saskatchewan. Foolish penalties when they have a team pinned down. They found a way to let teams make the big play of the 20 and 30-yard variety, and that's what Calgary just did.
First and 10 Calgary. The ball is at the 26-yard line. Garcia goes out into the flat again. Ulmer broke it up. It was intended for Danielson.
Terrell Ulmer, like Dave Van Bellingham, has had an outstanding afternoon versus these Calgary receivers. Watch his left hand as he puts it in at the last moment to deflect that ball away from Danielson.
1:05 remaining in the third quarter. Second and 10 Calgary from the Saskatchewan 26-yard line. Into the end zone intended for Danielson. He got tangled up with Ulmer. And there is a flag at the line of scrimmage.
Well, the no call down the field by the official is a judgment call because he had to gauge whether Danielson could catch the ball.
Pass interference. Saskatchewan number 2. First down.
Well, they did call it on Ulmer.
Well, the flag was thrown at the line of scrimmage. You'll see the feet get tangled up right there between both the defender and the receiver, and the official back at the line of scrimmage threw the flag. Didn't have a great angle on the play.
A judgment call. I'm not really sure whether he had a catchable ball, even had he not been interfered with.
But it was well over his head.
Regardless, it's first and 10 Calgary. The ball is now at the 14-yard line of Saskatchewan. Garcia into the end zone, overshoots Dave Sapunjas at the goal line. It will be second and 10 Calgary. Garcia, in a couple of games this year, has taken off in a similar situation. The quarterback draw has been very effective for Calgary.
Well, Saskatchewan on this of disguising coverage. They came up to the line of scrimmage and man, they shifted back in the zone and took the read away from Garcia, and he had to throw into an open area in the end zone.
John Hufnagel signaling in the play. What will it be? Into the end zone, touchdown! The first for Tyrone Williams.
Tyrone Williams, the rookie wide receiver out of Western Ontario, reading that his quarterback was in trouble, able to work to the outside of the field, and Garcia throws a strike to his rookie receiver. First touchdown of Tyrone Williams' career as the Calgary Stampeders.
Only his third pass. The only other game in which he caught passes was on September 30th against Toronto, and he is going to keep the football as a souvenir, his first CFL touchdown. This will be the final play of the third quarter, the point after by Mark McLaughlin. And again, it is a 2-point football game as the Calgary Stampeders have closed the gap after 3 quarters of play.
One song, I had but one song
Goodrich TA freewheeling football contest? Here's today's freewheeling question. Mail us your answer along with your name, address, and phone number. You could win one of 15 sets of 4 BF Goodrich TA tires. Or our grand prize, a freewheeling trip for 4 to the 1995 Grey Cup, including flights, hotels, cash, and more. Keep watching the CFL on CBC and playing BF Goodrich TA freewheeling football. It's fun, it's football, and it's free.
George Fox, Time of My Life, starring George Fox.
Loving you today.
With his special guests, Patricia Conroy, Shania Twain, and Susan Gluckart. George Fox, Time of My Life, Sunday at 8.
Clear, 200.
When? October 16th. It's back. This hour has 22 minutes. Premieres Monday, October 16th on CBC Television.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by BF Goodrich TA. Performance. Serious performance.
Welcome you back to Taylor Field in Regina. The Roughriders leading by 2, and these fans are having a blast. And if you plan on being here on November 19th, the Grey Cup Committee guarantees that you'll have a ball. Aaron Ruffin on the kickoff return, and he brings it back to the 43. Run back. Well, James, I've been thinking about your trivia question. The player you were talking about, he wouldn't have played for the Ottawa Roughriders by any chance, would he?
We'll have to check on that as we get another look at Tyrone Williams after scoring his first CFL touchdown. The Western Ontario product. They're happy to have him here in Calgary. He is now rolling up to complement the rest of this receiving corps. And here's the question once again. There it is, Don.
He played with the Ottawa Roughriders and the Toronto Argonauts. Pass complete over the middle to Dan Farthing. The best game of this young man's career before the largest crowd to ever watch a football game in Saskatchewan.
Well, Dan Farthing has played himself proud this afternoon here at Taylor Field. He has done all you can ask of this young receiver. He has run precise routes. He's set down Warren Jones, has gotten him the ball on time, and he's been picking up first down.
Saskatchewan on the 55.
First and 10, Saskatchewan. Play just underway in the 4th quarter. Saskatchewan leading by 2. Ray Algard with his second catch of the game. And Vaughn makes the tackle at the 52-yard line.
What it does when you get Ray Algard involved in your offense is that you get the halfbacks out of the middle of the field as we look at the 3-quarter stats. Saskatchewan leading in critical areas in time of possession and yards passed. And when you can keep the ball away from this Calgary offense, because they did that against BC last week. BC only possessed the football 9 minutes of at home at BC Place last week versus Calgary.
Pass over the middle intended for Algard. That draws a penalty flag. Algard got tangled up with 2 defenders, Gerald Vaughn being one of them. Algard with 2 catches in the game, 814 career receptions, better than 13,000 yards, 78 touchdown grabs, but just 2 of those touchdown catches this year, both in the same game against Winnipeg.
Well, that time you saw Vaughn run over Algard, but you see what happens.
Forward pass interference. First down.
Once Ray Algard makes the reception, you have to start accounting for him. And Vaughn that time, in his haste trying to make a play, he ran over Algard, and Algard is very physical. Vaughn that time took the shot from Algard, pulled him to the turf, but Saskatchewan keeps the yardsticks moving.
First and 10 for the Riders from the 42-yard line. We saw Frank Spaziani signaling in a defensive alignment. Out of the shotgun, be able to read it. Boito on the sidelines. Caught immediately and taken down with a gain of perhaps 5. It's going to be a little more difficult to read some of those defensive alignments as well when you have to reach down to pick the ball up off the ground.
Well, it is. Mike Anderson is going to have to get the ball up, as we see right there in the fourth quarter how Calgary has fared against its opponents, and this has been a machine. Last week they scored the 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter with Garcia marching them downfield. Great field position.
Jones has converted 9 of 20 second down plays. Almost intercepted by Vaughn, and there's another penalty flag.
Jackie Kellogg that time right in the middle of everything on the back of Ray Elgard, and Jones has started to look for Ray Elgard in the defense. When you have to play him, he's very physical. He will find a way to get open. He fights defensive backs throughout his pass routes, and normally the defense will get caught.
Forward pass interference. Calgary number 38. First down.
You talked about Ray Elgard. His nickname is Harley, and there are some defensive backs who think he's riding a Harley when he comes off the line of scrimmage.
Well, here it is. You see right here in the middle of your screen as Kellogg and Vaughn comes in the middle as Elgard is running that crossing route, and Saskatchewan keeps the sticks moving once again.
Hitch screen to Don Narcisse to the 20-yard line. Gerald Vaughn made the tackle.
What Jones is doing right now in
9 receptions. Sorry, James.
Go ahead on. What Jones is doing in this drive is he's throwing the ball so quick, getting his offensive lineman out. This is another variation of your running game, when you can get your offensive lineman downfield and let them throw blocks for you.
9 receptions now for Donald Narcisse. 2nd and 3, Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan on academic basis. Dan Farthing is the toast of the town at the moment here in Regina as he scores the touchdown that is converted by David Ridgway. Day is a pro for Dan Farthing, and the Roughriders lead 22-13.
Just because you grew up, got a job, got married, and had a family, it doesn't mean you have to get one of those, you know. Introducing Odyssey. With 4 doors and an easy fold-away rear seat, it's not just a minivan. It's a Honda.
The need to communicate has always been a
fundamental pursuit of
humankind to the internet.
Now you can be wired to a world you never imagined. Connected to continents
of information
as quick as that.
Here you go, sweetie. Go, Gemma. Go, Jamie.
Yesterday Rome, today Beijing.
When we did that? Cool. Cool.
Email on the internet.
Join the revolution. After all, is your world.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by
only the 4th touchdown of the season for Dan Farthing, but that could be the biggest touchdown the Roughriders have scored this year if they are able to protect this 9-point lead.
Well, you get a shot of Farthing here as Calgary had a coverage blown. The young receiver knew where the vacant spot was in the zone, went to that spot. Jones found him with a nice strike, and he took it the rest of the way into the end zone.
Pee Wee Smith on the kick return, and Gary Rogers is there to make sure he goes no further than the 35-yard line.
That's ball. They'll start first and 10 at their 35-yard line.
So Farthing with touchdowns in consecutive games. He had one last week against Baltimore. He comes through with a huge catch this afternoon against Calgary. First and 10. The Stampeders from their own 35-yard line. You see that Garcia is stamping his foot to call for the football because he is having difficulty making himself heard above the crowd noise. He completes the pass to Terry Vaughn for a first down, a 21-yard gain. He has taken, it appears, James, to stomping his right foot when he's
indicating to his center, Jamie Crysdale, that he is ready to take the snap, and Jamie is indicating to the rest of the offensive linemen he is making the play call at the line of scrimmage. He is calling the snap count for the rest.
Handoff inside to Stewart. And Stewart has another first down to the 40-yard line. A gain of 15.
Now, this is a point in the game last week when Calgary's offense came when they scored the 3 unanswered touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and Tony Stewart and Terry Vaughn had outstanding quarters. Tony Stewart at one point laid a leveling block on one of the BC linebackers, David Benefield, and at that point the offense seemed to take off from that hit.
Ulmer is the injured Saskatchewan player. He appears to be in a great deal of pain with 9:57 remaining.
Well, at the end of that tackle, Ulmer got rolled up on by coming in from the side, and he got his leg caught underneath, and right now they're looking at that.
Now get a 28-point winter inspection, oil, lube, and filter, tire rotation, and a 4-liter jug of washer fluid, all for just $24.99, only at Canadian Tire.
Well, good a look at that Ulmer injury once again, as he's going to come in from the bottom of your screen. Number 2, roll it just a bit, and we'll get to the point where he's getting underneath Stewart as we get a plant right here, freeze it. And you'll underneath right there, and that's where he's having the problem. They fell on top of that knee as he went to the field.
Fortunately for Ulmer, he is able to get up and put some weight on the injured leg. Warren Jones has his Rough Riders leading by 9.
Hey, Dad, Emma.
Welcome to the future.
Well, the big news out of the NHL, McDonald's NHL Muppet Mania has arrived.
Play NHL Muppet Mania at McDonald's. Collect NHL Muppet Color Team Crest on specially marked packaging, and you could win great prizes, like one of 50 all-new 1996 Mercury Sable or Ford Taurus vehicles, Bauer inline skates, Nestle Crunch Bars, or $100,000 cash instantly.
So, Kermit, what's the toughest thing about playing hockey in the NHL?
Skating with flippers. Play NHL Muppet Mania at McDonald's today.
When it comes to shopping for auto parts, come into UAP Napa, your local UAP Napa auto parts store, for superior parts availability, expert advice, and friendly service. And watch for UAP Napa's Fall Frenzy Flyer. Sale is on October 2nd to October 31st. So when you need quality parts and accessories, put your trust in UAP Napa Auto Parts. UAP Napa. We are real auto parts people.
Scott Henderson, one of the Henderson Johnson brothers playing offensive line here for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. During his spare time, he works for former CFL official Paul Dojak in young offenders, and he's become a valuable part of the community here in Saskatchewan with the Roughriders.
Do they call him Pooch?
Pooch, the young pup.
Garcia for Sapunjas. Touchdown. You have a feeling, James, we've seen this before on the last 3 weekends. The Calgary Stampeders have come from behind in the 4th quarter.
And it really helps to have a quarterback. John Huffnagel on the sideline tutoring a young quarterback in Garcia. He saw what Saskatchewan had to make the adjustment in the secondary. Donnie Brody had to come in for Armour, and they had to make a rotation to the other side of the field with Ruffin, and he went right where Brody had been inserted in the lineup. Touchdown, Sapunjas.
41 yards, Garcia to Sapunjas. And again, as Mark McLaughlin lines up for the point after, to within 2.
We got a seesaw battle here in Taylor Field, but Jeff Garcia, the past 3 weeks, have really been able to come in the 4th quarter with a response for whatever teams have thrown against him. He's been able to bring his team back from deficits, and that's character building for the Calgary Stampeders. People have thought that they were just going to just walk through the season and not be challenged, but they've shown a lot of from deficits in games late in the 4th quarter.
And in talking to many members of the Stampeders, they really believe they can go 17-1 in the regular season. But in the last couple of years, when they've been 15-3, players like Dave Sapunjas have said they had a bit of a tendency to let down once they clinched first place. But their objective this year is to try and improve every week and get ready for the postseason.
Well, it's been a true test. They played Winnipeg, they played Toronto, they played BC, and now here in Saskatchewan. All of those games in the 4th quarter, they were behind, but they've outscored opponents in the game 171 to 61, and they proved once again that they can put points on the scoreboard.
Aaron Ruffin on the kickoff return. Greg Knox is after him, and with some help from Williams, they make the tackle, but not before he got back to midfield. Williams has made a contribution as a receiver this afternoon, scoring a touchdown, but he also stamps on special teams.
Don, coming up tonight, another Molson Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader. Part of the country will see New Jersey at Montreal. The Habs, one of their worst starts. Rangers at Toronto, and then in the nightcap, Vancouver at San Jose. Tomorrow, we've got BC at Hamilton. Whit?
And here at Taylor Field, 9:06 remaining in the football game. Jones with time. He buys a little more, throws to Donald Narcisse, and Narcisse has a gain of about 4. Initially, I think he was looking deep downfield for Albert Turner.
He has the speed to get deep, and that's one of the things that Jones hasn't really done, is challenge the Calgary secondary to the extent of his coverage ability. But Jones' offensive line in front of him gave him an adequate amount of time to check down to 3 and 4 different receivers before finding Narcisse.
Ray Yawk says his team is not where he'd like it to be yet along the offensive line, but he says we have shown great improvement since the start of the season. Blitz. Jones got it away in time to Albert Turner, and he's got a first down. McClanahan came over to make the tackle. Jones picked up Greg Knox coming on the safety blitz.
The explosiveness of an Albert Turner, he was 1 block away from taking that because there was no one on the back end. As you see Knox coming up the middle, watch as Jones turns upfield. If not for a saving tackle by McClanahan right here, there was no one in the secondary that could have caught Turner if he'd have gotten.
9 remaining with the clock running here at Taylor Field. Jones has completed 28 of 36 passes now for 290 yards. He'll air it out again. And he's throwing this one away, and there's a penalty flag. This could be a late hit by, I think, Will Johnson.
Well, I think we're going to get an intentional grounding because of where the ball went away, but Will Johnson hit the quarterback late, but he
There's no infraction. It was an eligible receiver in the area. Second down.
Green on the sideline. How can he miss it?
So it will be second and 10 for Saskatchewan.
At the 46.
Right now, the biggest play of the game for Saskatchewan. They really need to pick up a first down because Calgary has picked up a lot of momentum, and one more first down would put them in Dave Ridgway field goal range.
All sorts of penalty flags this time, and I don't think any of these are going to be waived.
Offensive tackle jumped early, and it's hard to miss him, standing about 6'8", 285 pounds.
Saskatchewan number 63, still second down.
Got Hendrickson also. Give him a little press, and he comes back and burns me.
Still second down. Penalty of 5. Second and 15.
The younger of the two brothers, the Hendrickson brother, his brother plays in Edmonton. Their father played here in Saskatchewan, also a long-running rider tradition of the Hendrickson family.
I think his father only played in BC. I don't think his father played. I'm sure Lefty is watching this afternoon. Down the sidelines, and Joseph could not hang on. Alondra Johnson, the linebacker, had made that deep drop. It may have just caught enough of the football to take it away from Joseph.
Well, Alondra Johnson, one of the more fleetest linebackers in the CFL, running stride for stride with Joseph. Watch at the end of this play as the ball gets to his chest. Joseph has to use his hands if he's going to make the reception because it hits those pads.
Third and 15, Saskatchewan. Matic back at the 45-yard line, 6:41 remaining. Pee-wee Smith takes the ball at the 10-yard line. And he brings it back to the 24. Now the Calgary Stampeders trail by just 2 points, and we've got 6:32 remaining at Taylor Field.
Now you can be wired to a world you never imagined. It's where merchants are wired to a worldwide web.
There are only 200 minted, but I'll check the net.
Where shoppers browse electronic malls looking for sidewalk cyber bargains. You've got the modem.
We've got the means.
Where things are bought and sold at the touch of a finger and...
You're in luck. There's one in London.
The blink of an eye.
Join the revolution. After all,
It's your world.
get wired, get internet.
Overall, it's the most powerful line of trucks on the planet. A line of trucks built by people who look at things a little different. From the company that puts an airbag in every single one. A line of trucks that from one end to the other simply refuses to follow the rules. From Dodge, Canada's truck stop.
I'm losing 21-17. Mostly because of this brick wall of a linebacker. Nothing gets past this guy. Nothing. So, last quarter, seconds left. Can't go through, can't go around, gotta go over. Bomb! It was a long bomb! Ah! Touchdown! 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 Boy, I love this game. I really love it.
His team is bound for the postseason. Ray Yawk is hoping that his team will get there, and they could be closer to their dreams with a win this afternoon. The good news for the Roughriders defensively is that Almer, who was shaken up in the previous series, is back. He had a strained knee, but will continue to play. The Stampeders on their last 2 possessions scored touchdowns. This pass is in and out of the hands of Vince Danielson. At 75 yards for the Dave Sapunjas touchdown. On their previous possession, they went 51 yards for the Tyrone Williams score.
2 successive touchdown drives by Calgary, and now they're facing a 2nd and 10. Does Saskatchewan have anything left in the tank to come up with the big play defensively?
Second down conversions for Calgary. 5 out of 16. Tony Stewart could not hang on. So with 6:12 remaining,
to center, Jamie Crysdale, and he's ready to take the snap. It's just a look count. It's not a sound, but he throws the ball to Stewart. He hits him right in the face mask because he was too close, and he couldn't take anything off of that football. It's been a sea of green here at Taylor Field this afternoon. The crowd has been into it since the start of the... They're letting the Stampeders know they have not only the players, but the crowd to reckon with.
Do you think the fans in this city would go slightly wild if the Roughriders, by some miracle, should be involved on November the 19th here at Taylor Field?
It could be almost a threat to your life walking around this city if the Riders are in the Grey Cup. But wouldn't that be great for the CFL to have the home team hosting here at Taylor Field on the 19th of November?
I can think of a few teams that might not think it's such a great idea. A 31-yard punt that time, and the Riders from their own 54.
You know, you speak about the Grey Cup and large crowds here at Taylor Field. This is the second largest crowd in the history of the Saskatchewan franchise. In the Grey Cup in 1989 in Toronto, they played in front of one larger crowd.
Warren Jones for Turner. Penalty flag in the play. I think Gerald Vaughn may have grabbed his jersey, realizing that Turner was behind him. And that is in scoring position, at least within field goal range of David Ridgway.
Forward pass interference. Calgary number 38. First down.
Albert Turner, the deep threat for Saskatchewan. Once Jones has tried to take him deep. That time Vaughn knew that he had gotten behind the coverage, reached out and held on.
5:17 remaining. It's screened to Narcisse. Narcisse ran into Dan Farthing, who was trying to set up a block. Narcisse has now caught 11 passes for 86 yards. Boy, has he been strong over the second half of this season.
And the thing about it, he's so quiet when he's making the receptions. They've just been accumulating here in the second half. But what Saskatchewan has been doing here with these short passes is controlling the clock, keeping Calgary's offense on the sideline.
2nd and 6, Saskatchewan. Narcisse again, but he was knocked loose from the football by Anthony McClanahan. That was a punishing hit on Donald Narcisse. And you know, when he takes hits like that so often, you don't think he'll get back up. But he continues to play.
Well, he'll go to the sideline and think about this. Anthony McClanahan comes in and just cleans Donald Narcisse's clock right here. Boom! What a hit. I mean, that's a football play. You come in there and you put the shoulder pads right in the opponent's chest and you dislodge him from the football.
Ridgway will now attempt a field goal of 27 yards. He's been good on previous attempts from 20 and 39 yards out. Well, Ray York said that Ridgway has to start making field. Week in Baltimore that might have won the football game for them. There was a big return on the miss by Baltimore, and that eventually led to the winning points. Now Wally Buono has to hope that with 4:12 remaining, his team can put together another fourth quarter drive. Jurison just grabbed him from behind as he threw the football.
Bobby Jurison has played a well of a game this afternoon. I mean, when it's called upon, he's been able to come with the pressure and flush Garcia out of the pocket, but Garcia was alert enough not to take the sack as Jurison crawled up on his heels and tried to dump it off to his back.
Again, Garcia is going to have problems calling out the signals. There's that foot stroke. Dan, it looks as though he might be just shy of a first down. 3:25, with the clock running, the time remaining.
You know, with the foot stomp, that's one of the subtle adjustments that you make when you're Calgary. Great teams know how to make adjustments as the game goes on. And when they could not hear the snap count, the cadence, the offensive linemen, they went to the signal with the foot, and they've been successful here in the second.
Sean Daniels into the ball game on this third down play. I don't think he made it.
Looking at the spot of the football, it's Saskatchewan football.
2:50, the time remaining at Taylor Field.
At Walmart, we're with even lower prices.
Scope mouthwash now freshening for just $2.46. Coleman propane fuel only $2.50.
This isn't a sale. These are new low prices every day throughout the store.
40 Glad garbage bags now only $4.76. 6 pairs of Fruit of the Loom socks just $5.96.
So come into Walmart and see for yourself who has the lowest prices.
George Fox, Time of My Life, starring George Fox.
I'm gonna have the time of my life, loving you.
Patricia Conroy, Shania Twain, Lisa Brokaw, and Susan Aglukar.
I'm gonna have the time of my life tonight, loving you today.
George Fox, Time of My Life, Sunday at 8 p.m., 8:30 in Newfoundland.
The North American Indigenous Games have become a vehicle of hope for many Aboriginal youth.
If we don't prioritize our young people, then our future is in jeopardy.
On the Right Track, Tuesday at 6 on the CBC News Hour.
Monday on Prairie Portraits, the story of the unlikely village of Cannington Manor.
I always like to say it just didn't last all that long, you know.
That's Prairie Portraits, Monday at 6 on the CBC News Hour.
Well, close football games are certainly nothing new in recent weeks for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and their defensive unit comes up with a huge stand at the 45-yard line, denying Jeff Garcia a first down on the third down gamble. Saskatchewan lost by 2 to Baltimore, lost by 4 to Baltimore, beat Toronto by 3, and lost by 1 point to Winnipeg. Turner takes the hitch screen, but this time negative yards as Marvin Coleman comes up and drops him for a loss of 3.
And that was a real tough play for Saskatchewan because that potentially moved them out of Dave Ridgway's field goal range. So it's going to be very important here on 2nd and 13 that they're able to pick up at least 6 to 7 yards to give Ridgway a chance at another field goal.
Frank Spaziani again signals in the defensive alignment.
And Ridgway's longest on the season is 55 yards, and that's where it's sitting right now.
Jones in big trouble. Alondra Johnson brought him down, and that definitely took David Ridgway out of field goal range.
And it was very important for Calgary to come up with the big play defensively. Alondra Johnson has been that constant all afternoon. When called upon, he's been able to find a way to pick his team up. As you see Jones holding the ball too long, he has to just dump it off right here. But Alondra Johnson with the great defensive play.
2:15 is the time remaining. 25-20. Saskatchewan leads.
Fucking get your...
Matic taking all sorts of time. Coleman takes it. Trying to... Provo got enough of him, and that slowed him down, enabling Dave Pitcher to make the tackle. A 41-yard kick, 7 yards in the return, and there you see the bubble on the top of his helmet.
And what that is, Don, that's a styrofoam bubble because he had suffered a couple of concussions. They needed to find a way to add extra padding, so they had seen the same type the one of the players with the Buffalo Bills had that extra bubble on top of his safety Fresco, and it called down to find out where that
44 of the time remaining. Garcia's pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Rogers. That's the second time he's been able to bat a pass down at the line. There's also a penalty flag over on the far side of the field.
Right there you see as Roger goes up high and gets that ball is
holding. Saskatchewan number 21. Down.
Holding penalty against Dale Joseph, and that will give Calgary a first down. Wally Buono, in talking about the comeback performance of his team in the last few games, said that one of the things that has helped us to do is develop all aspects of our game, something we will need in the postseason. Handoff inside to Tony Stewart.
Ball carrier 21, that's Tony Stewart.
A pickup of 6 with 1:34 remaining.
The clock is the enemy of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Even though they have the lead, Calgary has the football. With this high-octane offense that has been able to churn up yardage here in the second half. They've scored 2 touchdowns. Saskatchewan needs to come up. Have someone come up with a big play.
2nd and 3, incomplete, it's intercepted. Dressed for this game as an extra defensive back, comes through with the big play the Roughriders needed.
The rookie defensive back out of the University of Wisconsin on the tip ball. It's a tip drill. All teams do it in practice. When the ball is tipped, there's a signal that's yelled. Brady makes the break on the ball. Big turnover for the Riders. Someone had to step up. He made the play.
Pee-wee Smith, the man Garcia was looking for. Joseph picked up a yard before being driven back. 1:18 remaining.
Initial tackle by 38-year-old.
25-20. The Saskatchewan Roughriders lead it, and the Calgary Stampeders have called a timeout.
What's up, baby? That's one for you. Hey, we got the one more time.
Donnie Brady, not unaccustomed to playing in big games, played in a Rose Bowl with the Wisconsin Badgers, their first appearance in many years. Now in his first professional game here in Saskatchewan, comes up with the biggest play of his young pro career.
Well, he may have had 100,000 or so spectators watching him play at the Rose Bowl, but I don't think they were any more vocal than the fans at Taylor Field this afternoon, about half the size of a Rose Bowl crowd.
You're not going to get any more loyal fans than what you get here at Taylor Field in this afternoon, and they've been treated to an entertaining football game.
1:18 remaining. The clock will not start until the ball is snapped. It is 2nd and 9 Saskatchewan. Fake inside. Jones is in trouble, trying to get away from Will Johnson. Now he comes back the other way, and he'll run for the first down.
In the center of your screen, 63. He's out of your picture. He's played in 203 games for Saskatchewan, but watch his peel-back block right in the corner of your screen against Will Johnson. He has probably never thrown a larger block than that in his Saskatchewan career to spring Warren Jones for that first down on that run.
The Roughriders, 1st and 10. The ball is at the 30. Saskatchewan leading by 5. Joseph stopped right at the line of scrimmage. And absolutely no ground game today for Saskatchewan.
There hasn't, Don, but Calgary only allowed 55 yards per game on the ground coming into this afternoon's contest, so Saskatchewan wasn't going to be a team under 100 yards a game, going to have a big running game against them. But Calgary is out of timeouts. The game right now is in the hand of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. All they have to do is hold on to the football. They don't need to try a field goal. Just hold on to the football.
He gets the snap just as the clock, the 20-second clock expires. And now on third down with 19 seconds remaining, Warren Jones. Final seconds off. And the Calgary Stampeders, who had a perfect road record until this afternoon, 7-0, are going to suffer only their second loss of the year. And the Grey Cup dream for the Saskatchewan Roughriders remains alive.
We've witnessed the biggest upset in the CFL this season here at Taylor Field in front of the largest crowd of the season. You have to give kudos to the Saskatchewan Roughriders and their fans.
Quarterback Warren Jones threw the ball up into the end zone, and there was a scramble among the spectators who are occupying the seats that will be used for the next game to be played. The Grey Cup game on November 19th, and the 55,000 plus would love nothing more than to see their beloved Roughriders participating.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders over the past 4 weeks have played as well defensively as any team in the CFL. They served notice against the Baltimore Stallions that they can play with them, also against the Calgary Stampeders, and if they make the playoffs, their first round opponent will most likely be the Stallions of Baltimore.
Thanks, Gene, for standing by with Warren Jones. Warren, fair to say this might be one of the biggest games of your pro career in Canada.
Well, no doubt it was a big game, and we needed this one to try to put some, pressure on, Winnipeg, and luckily we came out to win. We fought hard against a good football team, and hopefully that's a good time.
You keep your playoff hopes alive by winning. If the Bombers lose tonight, you clinch the 5th and final playoff berth. Was that in the backs of the minds of every player on this team today?
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that before the game. We figured if we can go out and win and try to put some pressure on Winnipeg, and hopefully they don't in our favor. But if not, we got to go back to the drawing board and come out next week fighting.
Not a bad crowd, 55 plus.
Oh, excellent. I wish it was like this in all parts.
All right, Warren, enjoy it. Thanks for congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Warren Jones with 2 touchdown passes today, leading the Saskatchewan Roughriders to a 25-20 upset of the Calgary Stampeders.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by SaskTel.
Back at jubilant Taylor Field, where the Roughriders upset the Stampeders 25-20, snapping the Stamps' winning streak at 7 games. Coming up later tonight, it's the Molson Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader. New Jersey at Montreal, Rangers versus Toronto, and in the nightcap, Vancouver plays at San Jose. Tomorrow,
There, Rider fans anxious to show the country and city that it's ready to host that big game. Calgary's first play from scrimmage, Jeff Garcia to Dave Sapunjas for his 100th reception of the season. Now, along with Alan Pitts, he has 100 receptions. The Stamps, the first CFL team in history to have 2 guys with over 100 catches in the same year. Quite an accomplishment. The Green Riders pumped up, gets to Garcia for the sack. That 13th man having a big effect on the Riders. Second quarter, 3-2 Calgary. Warren Jones spots Don Narcisse up the middle, 8-yard TD strike. Narcisse's 103rd reception of the year. It's a day of milestones. Green Riders record, 9-3 Saskatchewan. Frustrated Garcia finally gets some satisfaction in the third quarter, hooking up with. It's the product of Western Ontario. His first CFL touchdown, 14 yards, 15-13 Saskatchewan. But the Roughriders come right back. Fourth quarter, Warren Jones goes right and hooks up with Dan Farthing, product of Saskatchewan. At the sidelines, he turns upfield, dives across to give the Riders a 22-13 lead. Stamps refuse to die. Garcia drops back, hits Sapunjas 41 yards. Stamps come back to within 2. It's 20. 25-20, Riders. Garcia up the middle for Pee Wee Smith. It is tipped. Donnie Brady brings it in and kills the threat. And yes, Saskatchewan gets the big upset in front of all those fans, 25-20. Needless to say, that is an all-time single-game record at Taylor Field for attendance. Warren Jones, 30 of 43 for 281 yards and 2 TDs. So with that Saskatchewan win, they would need a Winnipeg loss, and the Riders playoff spot, you know.
Well, let's check out how Winnipeg did.
For the Riders and the Stamps. We're talking 54,000 for the final home game of the year, and it was a big one, as the Green and White needed a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Now, if they could somehow knock off the Stamps and the Argos could beat the Bombers, we're all invited to the postseason. But first things first, this is one of the men. He's a wild one, picking up Riders trailing at 3-2. Warren Jones to Don Narcisse for the score, and it's 9-3 Rider pride. Then, with Saskatchewan leading at 15-6, back come the Stamps. Jeff Garcia under pressure. He'll roll outside and then hook up with Tyrone Williams, his first CFL 13. Fourth quarter action now. Jones out of the shotgun. Pumps once, then goes downfield for Dan Farthing. Makes the catch, goes in. 22-13, Green and White. Now up 25-20, 2 minutes to go. Garcia's pass tipped off by Don Brady. And can you believe it? The Riders 25-20 in front of 55,438. Jones with 2 touchdown passes. Ridgway with 3 field goals. Riders in 6 and 10. Stamps dropped to 14-2. We'll tell you how the Bombers made out in just a second, but this was obviously a huge win for the Riders.
Offensively, I think we controlled the ball. Defensively, we controlled what they did. Certainly, you're not going to stop Calgary all the time. But, I mean, we got them into the kind of game that we had a chance to win in the end.
Linebackers were getting some hit on them. Our free safety was coming up and putting some pops on them. We kept them off guard a little bit on the guys that we were bringing. We brought guys off the edge. We brought guys in the middle. Plus, the 4-man front was giving good pressure.
It is not over yet.
The record at the ticket office tonight.
It's just a great testament to the fans of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
But it wasn't Grey Cup fever that filled the stands to the rafters. It was Rider pride.
It's going to be the best day for Fan Appreciation Day. What better day than to beat Calgary?
But packing 54,000 fans into Taylor Field isn't just good for the Riders. These conditions are as close as it's going to get. The big event, Grey Cup 1995.
The Regina Police Force has been working on a Grey Cup plan of action since the announcement was made. Have had to deal with a sports crowd of this size.
And of course, with us being the main agency of crowd control, we have to be heavily involved. The big concern, of course, is the crowd, the large crowd.
A crowd whose size shattered all expectations. 55,438 Saskatchewan fans, blowing the CFL record away by more than 6,000. Rosalind Robertson, BBS News, Regina.
20,000 more fans than the Riders have ever had before at Taylor Field. Just incredible.
Jammed them in there, standing room only.
Standing room only. This was a huge game for the Riders. 55,000 packed into Taylor Field for the final home game of the season. It was against the best team in the league, the Calgary Stampeders, and the Riders needed the win. Needless to say, they were up for the game, and the defense gets to rookie quarterback Jeff Garcia early. Bobby Jurison in his face all afternoon with 2 sacks, including this one in the first. The Riders trailed at 3-2 in the second quarter when Warren Jones will get on the board with Don Narcisse. It's an 8-yard touchdown, a new Rider record for Narcisse, 103 catches for a season, 9-3 Riders. 15-6 in the third when Calgary's offense gets going. Jeff Garcia will scramble out of some trouble, and he spots Canadian receiver 14-yard score, 15-13 Saskatchewan. Warren Jones will respond in the fourth. Dan Farthing takes the pass and turns it upfield. He will just make it into the corner of the end zone. 22-13. The Riders fans are just loving this. But Jeff Garcia will make it close. The Canadian receiver's doing the job again. Dave Sapunjas. This is a 41-yard touchdown. It narrows the gap to 22-20. But late in the game, this will be the key. Jeff Garcia is stuffed by the Saskatchewan defense. The pass tipped, picked off by Donnie Brady. That gave Saskatchewan the ball with about a minute and a half left. All Warren Jones has to do is run out, getting into a little bit of trouble, then getting out of it again, and he will actually make a first down on this play as well. But the team credits the 13th man today, the crowd.
I'd say they deserved it. Those people that come out and see this football team as much as we've been through, and you know, I think they recognize that our players are still trying very hard and fighting very hard, and for the fans of Saskatchewan to pay them that kind of tribute to come out and see that game is outstanding.
It meant a lot. You should have seen all the players. They were geeked up. You know, every small play was a big play to us, you know, and we made a big deal out of it. If it wasn't for them, I don't think we would have won this game.
They're fighting for their lives for a playoff spot. They had a great crowd, a lot of momentum, a lot of adrenaline on their side, and we are coming into a situation where it's going to be tough for us to win. And they rose to the occasion, and we didn't, and we'll see them next week, and hopefully it'll be an outcome in our favor.
Final score again, 25-20 for the Riders. They are 6-10 on the year, handing the Stamps just their second loss. The rematch is next Sunday. The Riders had a chance to clinch a playoff spot tonight. Today's win, coupled with a win.
Narcisse caught his 103rd pass of the season, breaking the team mark held by Joey Walters and Craig Ellis. He also went over 1,000 yards for the 7th consecutive season and won the Molson Fan MVP award. A great first half for the Rider defense. In deep Saskatchewan territory, they forced the turnover as Dave Van Bellingham with the interception. Saskatchewan led 12-6 at halftime. They limited the Calgary offense to only 114 yards in total offense. To the second half, one touchdown in the third quarter. Garcia on the roll hits Tyrone Williams in the end zone. 15-13 Saskatchewan after 3 quarters. But the Riders respond to that on their next drive. Dangerous Dan Farthing open near the near sideline. He tiptoes in. It's 22-13 Saskatchewan. But Calgary answers back immediately. Garcia hits slot-back Dave Sapunjas for a 41-yard pass and run play. Donnie Brady the victim, but he'd make up for it later. 22-20 Saskatchewan still leads. After a Ridgway field goal makes it 25-20, the defense gets the job done with the game on the line. A minute and a half left. Everyone worried about another collapse, but it doesn't happen. Garcia's pass is tipped off a receiver. Donnie Brady with a spectacular diving interception. That was the nail in the Calgary coffin. The Riders won at 25-20. Afterwards, Ray.
You know, I think they recognize that our players are still trying very hard and fighting very hard, and for the fans of Saskatchewan to pay them that kind of tribute to come out and see that game is outstanding. Outstanding. I can't tell you how emotional this whole thing has been. Our players deserve this win more than anybody can understand. I know there have been people out there that have been critical. They don't understand what these players go through and what everybody goes through, and as much desire as they want to win. And I just think that our whole organization, right on down through, deserves, and the players, I think, in particular, deserve a great pat on the back by everybody, because this is one of the great wins that I've ever been associated with.
Don Hewitt, BBS Sports.